Not much, Tim. Not much. I think it's the only weekend of the year, head to head, that you can argue that college football is a bigger story than the NFL.
I mean, I'll say it on the air, but it didn't even feel like it was worth watching football yesterday.
And the NFL played 16 games. No one had a bye. 16 games over 4 days. Okay. And some pretty compelling stuff and some compelling results. And it felt like it was the number 2 sport in the country this weekend. Morning, everybody. Welcome to December.
4-4 for you, David? Have I got this right?
I think I had myself 3-5.
You won Michigan. No, you had Michigan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I lost Michigan, Auburn, Memphis,
3-5.
Florida State, and the Titans. And it's funny, I was 2-1 going into Saturday. And thank goodness Lee hit his game of the week.
1-4 for Lee.
But hit this game of the week.
Oh, I know.
And I think had a good week for his clients.
Which gets him to 7-7 on his games of the week. And 30-40 on the air.
It is possible, Coffin Bob. We'll get into that. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna F it. We'll do it live.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Overreaction Monday as we welcome you to December. How the heck are you? How was your holiday weekend? Thanks for starting the month and the week off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I come at you from crisp, cool Foxborough, Massachusetts, Patriots Place. They've got all kinds of hotels and shops and restaurants and everything around Gillette Stadium, making as much money as they can. So it's kind of like Lambeau Field, though. If you're staying, Mark, across the street in the hotel, the Kohler in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you just walk literally across the street to the game. I think I walked past about 2 Italian restaurants and a Chinese place, and I make a right, and I'm in the stadium.
Any chance that you'll pass Marty Smith between now and then?
I don't know. Did he hop on the plane with Lane and go to Baton Rouge?
No. I'd love to know where he did his interview, because it looked like Lane pulled off at like the service entrance before the private gate terminal.
Yes. Yes, it looked and sounded, because Lane referenced it at the beginning of his interview, as it's almost as if Marty Smith cut him off. It is almost what it sounded like, that Lane was trying to get away, and that Marty Smith in a bigger car, I guess, cut him off and was like, dude, come on. I've been camping out for 48 hours. Are you serious? Come on now. But
what a weekend. Holy cow.
Mark, did college football push the NFL to the side this weekend? Head to head, okay, on and off the field, did college football, and it's probably the only weekend of the year it can do it, did it push the NFL to the side this weekend and said, hold my beer, we have a lot of business to attend to?
Well, all right. In theory, yes. But realistically, Lane Kiffin pushed the NFL to the side, because that was where we focused the majority of our attention. I mean, from Friday afternoon through yesterday, it never seemed to end.
No, it did not. And what a soap opera, as really only college football, and especially in the SEC, can provide. Listen, there's so much there that it may make you hate the sport. Oh, this is obscene. This is ridiculous. Yes, by the way, you're right on all accounts. And yet, it is spectacular in how messy this sport now is. I mean, listen, when Rick Pitino, and I love Rick Pitino, I think he's the best college basketball coach going. I really do. Okay, I'm in the tank for Pitino, have been for 35 years. However, Rick Pitino has screwed up a few situations. He's turned his back on a few schools. Okay, Rick Pitino can get up in the middle of the night with the best of them in an industry in which a lot of people get up and turn their back on people in the middle of the night. When Rick Pitino is taking to X to give morality and just advice.
Morality from Rick Pitino. Rick, I love my Italian food at restaurants in Louisville. Pitino. Okay?
Right. Especially when my mistress is in the back and the doors are closed and we're on top of a table. Okay? Rick Pitino is lecturing college football about how they have to get their calendar in order. And the funny thing is, he was right. But when that is the source, holy blank, do we have a mess going on here. And the dominoes then fell.
Yes,
boy, did the dominoes fall. And apparently, Mark, if you're a top school in the American, your coaches just get picked. That's what you're there for. You are AAA. Okay, congratulations. Now you've put a good program together. You've put a good team together. We appreciate your 3, 4 to 5 years. It's time for you to go to the SEC now.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. And what I think is even, I don't know about, is there anything more surprising anymore, David? I mean, I don't know if I can use that phrase, but it is surprising that there was a bidding war for American coaches.
Oh, yes.
A bidding war.
Yes.
A bidding war so that the team that won the bidding war could have a fan base so upset that they held a rally to try to get rid of their athletic director.
I think 2 of the 3 places that got their coaches from the American are really unhappy. really unhappy. They want heads to roll. Okay. Don't know who it is they wanted. Although, Mark, you know a few Gator folk. I know a few Gator folk. All right. When early in the holiday weekend, it looked as if they were going to be a bridesmaid in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Who were your Gator fans / money people saying they wanted to be the fallback candidate? Because I got one name over and over and over again. And surprisingly, I got very few other names. I think I got one other name, but there was one resounding name that I got over and over and over again.
Was it Gruden?
It was. It was. They
And
wanted.
he got shut out by everybody in the SEC. Now,
Yes.
maybe he's going back to the NFL. Maybe he's not coaching at all. But he has expressed his, I don't know, excitement, enthusiasm towards coaching in the SEC.
Mhm.
And every single SEC job that was open never seemed to entertain him. We'll see what Kentucky does.
Well, I think there's a school that needs to take the plunge. I'm in favor of it. I was not in favor of Gruden to the Gators. And he apparently, all the Gator folk that I know, he was choice 2. It was Lane, it was Gruden, and then it was, please wake me when this nightmare is over.
So you think he should jump?
I think he should go and be hired in Tampa.
Oh, okay. I was talking SEC. That's
No.
why you threw me for a little bit.
No, not Kentucky. You can't win in Kentucky. They're not interested. They're really not. The only reason they got rid of Stoops was because they got humiliated by their in-state rival, Louisville. And they're like, oh, blank. I guess we really do have to get rid of them and come up with the 30-something million. But they didn't want to. Okay. So, no, it's a basketball school.
Right. And they don't have a plan. I mean, they got rid of him. It doesn't look like they have a plan. There are schools out there that fired their coaches late and immediately hired somebody. My alma mater is one of them. They at least had a plan.
Totally.
They went and got their guy. They got the contract signed. They made sure the deal was done. Then they fired their coach. You love those deals, David. Me as someone, I'm happy. I don't. Nobody cares about it, but I'm like, hey, that's the way you do business. If you're an AD, you get that contract in the drawer before you fire somebody.
Totally.
You better have a plan B. Kentucky doesn't have one.
Right.
And by all accounts, Florida didn't have one either. I mean, let's be honest here. Florida had a plan A. It was it was Lane Kiffin. My apologies. Misspoke there. That was plan A. It was plan A. It was plan B. It was plan C. And David, I don't know about you, but I've heard from a couple of different people that I trust that basically one of the money people didn't want Lane Kiffin. And if that's the case, and I mean, to a man, every Gator fan I know is hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are not happy. And one of the best posts I saw on X over the weekend or yesterday is everything was starting to roll downhill rather quickly. And the fiasco that was Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss to LSU, someone said, who knew Virginia Tech would make the best hire in the offseason?
Maybe they certainly look like mature adults, don't they? Kind of sexy, a little bit. All right, maybe sexy is too strong a word. Solid.
No,
okay.
Solid, competent.
Yeah. Right.
No.
Right.
I don't even think there's nothing sexy about the Vatek hire of James Franklin, but they went out and got a guy who has proven he can win at multiple places.
So the funny thing is the Gators hire a coach who literally has led his last 4 teams to the conference championship game in the 2 places he's been. And they don't want him at all. At all. And, boy, they're blowing it up. They're bringing in an NFL guy to run the program. What is this, North Carolina?
It worked out well for them.
Right. I just, is this Scott Strickland's idea, or is he just totally taking orders at this point? And if so, who's he taking them from? Because he needs to be taking them from someone else.
I got this text, and Gator fan, you can tell me if you think it's wrong, but one of the boosters apparently never really wanted Kiffin because of character issues. And this is from a Gator alum, sent me this. He goes, mind you, we have our women's soccer coach and women's basketball coach abusing players. Our head basketball coach sexually harassing 18-year-old chicks. And our head baseball coach rails into a mentally struggling official. But let's make sure our football coach is an upstanding citizen. Strickland is a clown. I'm guessing that's how a lot of you feel, Gators folks. But we'll get into all of it. Lanes and LSU. I've got 6 poll questions just off of that, plus the starting 5, 25 minutes away. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
There's something magical about the holidays, and at the Diamond District, it's the season we look forward to all year long.
The lights, the laughter, the feeling of giving. That moment someone opens a gift that truly sparkles.
When you walk through our doors, our team is ready to welcome you with warmth and expert guidance. No pressure, just people who love helping you create unforgettable moments.
Stunning diamond jewelry to wrap up the wonder of the season.
The Diamond District, se habla español.
At the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
But Lane at USC under heavy scholarship sanctions because of the Reggie Bush situation produced a 9-win season and a 10-win season. And he has a tough month, and Pat Hayden bails on him. Lane was actually doing a pretty decent job at USC. He really was. Okay. I think Pat Hayden, and I think based on what then happened to USC football for 10 years, showed that they made a mistake in getting rid of Lane. All right. He was a terrific offensive coordinator at Alabama. He was terrific. In fact, Saban firing Lane on the eve of a national championship game cost him the natty because Sark called a horrible game. And if Lane was the OC that day, they beat Clemson in 2016. Lane then goes to FAU, has 2 10-win seasons in 3 years, wins 2 conference championships. Has FAU done any of that before or after Lane? Lane then goes to Ole Miss and produces the best 6-year run in the history of the program. I mean, That's pretty good. Okay. You can hate him. You could think he's, a slime ball and the whole deal. But he can coach. He can. But, if it's championships or bust, and it's national championships or bust, and there's only, 4 or 5 active coaches that have ever done anything. But he totally mishandled this.
Oh, so my 2 poll questions are: would you have let Lane
Coach
stay and coach through the playoff? And something to the effect of, are you ever rooting for Lane again? Well, Adam, by all accounts, you screwed it up. I mean, he may have ended up going to LSU, but I don't have anybody that I trust that's telling me that Lane was all set on LSU over Florida. Everything I got is that Florida wasn't sure about Lane. David, I don't know what you have different.
I have one very highly placed source who thought the Lane deal was done. And that Florida helped screw it up. Who knows?
Or what rubbed you the wrong way the most about Lane? The timing, the praying. I mean, there's a lot. I know that's getting a little where you could get somebody upset, but I even think the God-fearing person doesn't like the fact that he prayed for this, and this is what he came up with.
Spitz, I can't believe Scott Strickland had a vote. And I'm not kidding. Not being a jerk. I can't believe he even had a vote. I thought Scott Strickland was going to be the Uber driver who picked Lane up and his family when they flew into town and drove him around Gainesville.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So much to get to. We've only mentioned the NFL. We haven't talked anything about it. And it had a pretty compelling weekend. And man, dude, the standings heading into December. December are the standings something this year in the NFL. It's as if the NFL has got a little bit of college football in its blood right now, Mark. I mean, Indiana going 23-1 the last 2 regular seasons in football. Vanderbilt at 10-2, banging the table. We should be a playoff team. Looking Miami eyeball to eyeball in college football. Vanderbilt staring the Canes down and going, our 10-2 is better than yours, whether it is or not. I mean, I don't want to say these are crazy times. I mean, we call this day Overreaction Monday. I don't know if you can have an overreaction today, Mark.
No, David, one of the things that Miller and Moulton don't do is overproduce a show. If there was ever a day to maybe make sure we lined up things so we didn't miss anything, today's that day. We'll do our best to get to all of it. I'm sure at some point tomorrow, one of us will begin the segment by saying, something we didn't talk about yesterday.
Mark, I'll bet you an over-under of 6.5 tomorrow of how many times we go, something we didn't bring up yesterday that happened over the holiday weekend, ...
No doubt. No doubt. All right.
I want to congratulate you on two things, though. First off, you had a winning weekend. You went with 11 picks. You nailed them. Okay. You went 7-4. Congratulations. Stop beating yourself up. But secondly, you said Golish was leaving. And I
Yes,
thought
I
he
did.
was staying, and you were right.
Hey, I mean, if we proved anything, it's that loyalty is gone in this sport.
I'll say this. I'm glad he left for Auburn and not Arkansas.
I am too.
I would have been disappointed if he had left because he can win at South Florida. And obviously there's a playoff spot available. He has a better chance of making the playoff at South Florida than he does at Arkansas. All right.
No doubt.
Now, Auburn's different.
You and I have a mutual friend who's an Arkansas guy, and he was livid about their hire. And he's going nuts on social media. And I just responded. I'm like, who is it you wanted? Where is it you think you are? And I said, on your best day, you're ninth in the conference. And that is being very generous.
Right.
It's on your best day.
Right. Right.
Auburn, wait a minute. They played
deal.
for national titles.
Right.
They played for SEC titles.
Right.
No. At Auburn, you can win.
Oh, yes.
Not to mention, now you've got to retain some kids. You know, retention's the key word. We're going to hear all week with all these schools. Can they retain their good players before they jump into the portal? Which, by the way, the coaches unanimously moved the portal to January so that the players could stay for conference championships in the first round of the playoff. They never said anything about coaches. They never said a damn thing about coaches because they all got up and left. All of them.
Yep. Some worked out agreements to stay and coach conference championship games and or possible playoff games. All right. And others were obviously shown the door as quickly as possible. Did you see the photo coming out of Oxford outside of the football building? They had Lane Kiffin's clothes just outside the building.
A rack of clothes.
Right there. I love college football. I do.
That and the group of people that made it to the airport in Oxford so they could flip him off.
Right. Yeah.
Those were the two shots out of Oxford that were the best. The wrap of clothes and then the booing with the double birds at Lane.
And I have to admit, what I was more interested in wasn't Lane getting on the private plane, but the current Ole Miss assistant coaches who were going with him, one of them being Charlie Weiss Jr. That's another offensive coach that left Ole Miss as they will try to win some playoff games.
Now, we'll probably never know, but, you know, Lane wanted to stay and coach through the playoff. They wanted nothing to do with it.
Right.
Lane, by all accounts, then gave his coaches an ultimatum. You're either on the plane with you're more than welcome to come, but if you're not on the plane, you're not coming.
Right.
He denied that, of course.
Right. But I think 3 coaches, I've seen 3, I've seen 4, who joined him on the plane and went to Baton Rouge. By the way, did you see the picture of Lane and the top prospect, all right, that he posed with last night, okay, who is giving signs that he wants to go to LSU? So Lane didn't just land in Baton Rouge. Lane went to a kid's house. I mean, man, this sport is messy. Do you ever mud wrestle? Do you ever, for charity or anything, they rope you in to do some mud wrestling?
David, the one really good thing about my life going through minor league hockey to this job and not going through local network television is I didn't have to do any of that crap.
No jello wrestling, no mud wrestling. I
obviously missed out on the opportunity to play with the Washington Generals against the Harlem Globetrotters.
You did.
That's the negative. The positive is I didn't have to do any of the other dumb crap that you had to do through the years.
Of course, the funny thing is you got the General's jersey out of the deal.
Hanging in the closet right now.
And I was a Washington General 3 different times instead of nothing to show for it. But anyway, yes, I mud wrestled. I pudding wrestled. I jello wrestled. And I feel as if somewhere amongst that's where college football is, particularly in late November heading into December. It feels like its best day, it's jello wrestling. But right now it feels like mud wrestling. It feels like mud wrestling. Is what it feels like.
You know what? You're right. You got to be old enough to go back to whether I think it's like the AWA, but some of those off-circuit wrestling groups. You know, the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. You know, not Georgia Championship Wrestling that had a cable network. Not the WWF based out of the New York area. I'm talking about the little guys in and around that when you watch the documentary, Vince would end up buying up over the years. But really, that's what this is. This is old school.
So 21,000 on the text line. Gator fans, your thoughts about John Sumrall. And with him is former Jags general manager Dave Caldwell. That's your new brain trust to take the Gators into the 2030s. Auburn fan, you happy with Golish? Is he good enough for you? South Florida fan, are you very disappointed in Golish, or were you like Mark? I kind of expected it was just a matter of who and where.
I mean, Tulane tried to put $4 million in front of Summerall to keep him. And they put big money in front of him.
They did.
I mean, now he's doubling that at Florida, or nearly doubling that. I guess it's 7.5 plus incentives, but Tulane came to the table with cash.
So to review, Arkansas was told no by everybody and settled on the Memphis coach who beat him during this regular season. Nobody there wanted him, apparently, but that's who they have. Auburn wanted Sumrall. At the end, he chose the Gators over Auburn. Arkansas really wanted Golish. He chose Auburn over Arkansas. Do I have this about right?
Right. And Penn State hasn't had a peep come out of Happy Valley in weeks.
Nope.
Don't you believe the Penn State guy is coaching somewhere right now?
Yes. Absolutely, I do. I believe there's a deal in a drawer. No doubt about it. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, Cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. Do you want me to just have the poll question? Would you have let Lane Kiffin, or should they have let Lane Kiffin?
Would you?
Okay.
Hey, Puck, in all honesty, and I happen to really like Auburn, but in all honesty, isn't that Auburn period? I mean, think about, they ran off Gus, which has proven to be a mistake. But, they ran off Tuberville. They ran off Chiswick 2 years after he won a natty. Auburn is very impatient. Johnny Finger Lakes, who are you talking about? Huge buyout. You talking about Lane?
EB, no offense. You really think today we should do a poll question, the Bucks or the Panthers? I hope you're being funny, because that's laughable. I don't care where we're airing the show. That wouldn't make my top 100 poll questions today. I'd rather go with the guy who texted in, do you still have leftovers remaining?
By the way, the guy who made the comment that Virginia Tech may have had the best hire of the season, I think it might be your alma mater.
No, EB, they don't. If you've watched the chat room, I know you have your own agenda with what you like to talk about, and I love you for it. But no, people are interested in what happened in the college world over the weekend. No one gives a damn about the NFC South. No, they don't. I don't even know if people listening in Tampa care.
And that includes the television networks also, EB. They don't care about the NFC South either. Trust me. But I have a feeling it'll be our first playoff game.
By the way, does, for another month or so, does Sharon Moore begin the season on a pretty warm seat?
Warm.
Could get hot quickly.
Yes. I think his future is tied to how the offense and that quarterback look in 2026.
Because he and they looked. Now, again, that's Ohio State's defense. It's not
right.
Very fair. Right. But they've got to go out and pay for some speed on that team. They have to give that guy somebody to throw the football to.
Correct. They don't have wideouts anymore. Haven't for a while.
No.
Harbaugh helped kill that. For all the good that Harbaugh did, he crushed them at the wide receiver position for 5 years in recruiting. They need to get a couple of wideouts. But I think they also need some creativity from the OC.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Puck, that could be. RME Roberts, to be honest with you, the Pacific Northwest is every bit as cold lately as the Northeast. Temperatures very similar. It is 33 this morning, for the record.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. On this Monday, Overreaction Monday, although going to be tough for you to overreact today with all that is out there. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We don't normally have guests on an Overreaction Monday, but with everything that went down over the weekend, well, Kevin Brockway, who covers the Gators for a living, he'll join us in an hour. Matt Moscona, who covers LSU and all things Louisiana, he'll join us a couple hours from now.
And we'll get right into the Saints with them. I mean, we just kidding. We won't mention the Saints.
Time now for.
Oh, you're just. There you go.
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
Well, you know how sometimes I bring up a topic and you're like, oh, we need to move on. You brought up the Saints, and I know it was in jest, but I'm like, yeah, I don't even know if we can do 3 to 5 seconds today on the Saints.
I understand. It's just tough to click a mouse and talk at the same time sometimes. My hand wasn't in the right spot. I'm moving around. I get it. Go do your thing.
Overreaction Monday starting 5 is brought to you by Lee County, Florida, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. And what a week they had last week in Lee County with their college hoops, and they got more where that came from. Stay tuned. You know what? Let's talk the NFL. It really is the most popular league in the country. It was just pushed to the side this weekend. Tampa Bay snapped a 3-game losing streak. They were not that impressive, but it was nice to see a productive Chris Godwin and a productive Bucky Irving. They gave up over 100 more yards to the Cardinals than they amassed themselves, but they were +2 in turnovers.
Those defensive backs finally caught an interception.
Yes,
kind of a big deal, David.
Mm-hmm. Highlight of the day, Baker Mayfield touchdown pass to Tristan Wirfs. Tampa Bay 20-17 over the Cardinals. They're 7-5. They're in first place in the South by a half a game. That game is in the loss column, though, against Carolina, who had the upset of the day. Boy, try to figure out the Panthers, huh? 2 home games ago, they lost at home to New Orleans. Yesterday, they go out. They forced 3 turnovers. Matthew Stafford had only thrown 2 interceptions all year. He threw 2 interceptions in the first half. And then a strip sack fumble late when the Rams were in position to at least tie it, if not win it. Carolina with a huge win over the Rams, 31-28. Carolina's 7-6 on the season. The Rams are 9-3. And technically, for the moment, the Rams fall to the 2 seed. The Chicago Bears are the 1 seed heading into December in 2025, mind you. We'll see if it lasts, but these are some crazy times in the football world, ain't it?
Did the Bears have if Carolina didn't have the most impressive win of the weekend, it would be the Bears, right?
Yeah, that's a poll question in and of itself. Best NFL win of the weekend, Carolina or Chicago? I'd actually put Green Bay on the list also. Okay, sweeping the Lions and maybe pushing the Lions out of the playoffs too. Lions and Cowboys this week feels like an elimination game, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Okay. 2 teams that are out. One is falling, one is rising. Both of them probably have to win out to make the playoffs. Seems like the loser is out. We'll get to that later on. How about the Jags? If it wasn't for that fourth quarter in Houston, what would we be saying and thinking and feeling about this team? They've now won 3 in a row since that debacle in Houston. They went to Nashville and beat a division rival on the road. And these two teams hate each other. And you could tell if you paid any attention at all to that game, they do not like each other. And Jacksonville did what a good team's supposed to do. They went on the road, they took care of business, they got on the plane and flew home.
They bullied a bad team. I mean, they truly did. Good for them.
25-3 Jags. They're 8-4. Trevor with a workmanlike day, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, third straight win for the Jags. Jags, and the win puts them in first place because Indianapolis lost again. Houston went into Indy and shut down the Colts offense 20-16. Oh, those Texans have won 4 in a row. They're alive. The Colts fall to 8-4, tied with the Jags. But right now, based on division record, the Jags are in first. They'd be the 3 seed. The Colts would be the 6.
4 8-4 teams in the AFC with Houston at 7-5, and they seem to have figured some things out.
Houston at Kansas City coming up this weekend. That feels like an elimination game, whether it is or not. Dolphins, they have found the formula, Mark. I mean, it looks as if
they have the formula. Lose a bunch of games early, win enough. I mean, McDaniel has the formula. Blow the season in the first 2 months, win enough games so I don't get my ass fired.
But on the field, they have found a winning formula with their current personnel. And it's not making Tua, and it's not making the wide receivers the focal point of the offense. It's making Achane. 134 yards rushing and a touchdown. Third straight win for Miami. Wasn't very impressive. By the way, was that stadium half full?
You know, I forgot to check Sunday morning what tickets were going for, but I will say, and I've not met the guy, David. I've never met him. I want to meet him for the national championship game at Hard Rock because I've been invited to this man's suite now 3 times. I got the invite again a day before, and I said I'm not going to a Dolphins game. There's nothing you can get me to do. Now, there are 2 playoff games at Hard Rock. If you want to hang out, I'll go to either one of those.
Dolphins held off the Saints 21-17. Saints ran a play, a 2-point conversion to tie it. Minka picked it off and returned it for 2. Saints did cover, however. Dolphins have won 3 in a row. They're 5-7. The Vikings won 14 games last year. That is difficult to imagine when you watch them play this year. So they played the Brosmer kid from Minnesota. And his QBR was worse than JJ's was last week. Both QBRs were worse than if you had taken the ball on every snap and spiked it into the ground. All right. Vikings shutout. Seahawks first shutout in a win in 10 years. 26-0 Seattle. They're tied for first in the West at 9-3. Bills with a dominant second half. They played bully ball on the Steelers. They just lined up and ran it down their throat. Well over 200 yards rushing, over 200 more total yards than the Steelers had. Are they better off with Mason Rudolph at quarterback than Aaron Rodgers?
I think so, but I will say this, David, regardless of who plays quarterback for Pittsburgh, and this stings if you're a Steeler fan, you have absolutely no identity anymore. No one knows who you are as a football team. Your offense is inept, and your defense is a sieve. Good luck.
Buffalo 26-7. Bills are 8-4. They're within shouting distance of the Patriots, but time is running out in the East. Meanwhile, the Steelers fall back into a tie with the Ravens, but Baltimore at the moment owns the tiebreaker. Those 2 teams will play twice in the final 5 weeks of the season. Give the Niners credit. All they're doing is winning. Doesn't matter who's healthy, who's playing. Doesn't matter if it's a short week, 2,000 miles travel. They went to Cleveland, got 2 fumbles that created 2 short fields and 2 second-half touchdowns. They beat the Browns 26-8. Sanders wasn't bad. 16 of 25, 150 yards, no turnovers. I mean, he wasn't bad. He wasn't good. Wasn't bad. There sounds like they're going to start him again at home this coming week. Niners are 9-4. The Niners are the 7th seed in the NFC, and they are 9-4. I'm telling you, the number in the NFC may have to be 11 to make it, which means for the 7-5 Lions, yeah, exactly.
There ain't a lot of wiggle room.
No. And for the 6-1 Cowboys, okay, you can't get to 11, even if you win out. The Jets have won 3 of 5. Nick Folk, a game-winning 56-yard field goal at the gun. You can definitely put a fork in Raheem Morris and the Falcons. 27-24 Jets. Atlanta falls to 4-8. Chargers get 2 touchdown passes from Justin Herbert, although he was injured. He says he's going to be okay. We'll see.
Well, he broke a bone. He's got to have surgery in his non-throwing hand today, and he thinks he's playing this weekend. I mean,
Right.
We'll see. But he said in the post game or when talking about the surgery that he's of the belief or has been told he can still possibly play this week. We'll see.
31-14 Chargers improved to 8-4. Denver last night, terrifically entertaining game. Washington forced overtime with a late field goal. Broncos scored a touchdown on the opening possession, kicked the extra point. Washington came back, scored a touchdown, and did what a 3-8 team should do. Went for 2. Broncos snuffed it out. Denver wins their 9th in a row, 27-26 in overtime. Technically, by percentage points, and the Broncos are the 1 seed today, but the Patriots could go back to being the 1 seed with a win tonight at home against the Giants. Monday Night Football. Patriots have won 9 in a row. They're 7-point favorites against a Giants team that hasn't won a road game in 2 years. All right, college football, you all know this, but I'll just spit it out anyway. Lane Kiffin went to LSU. Ole Miss promoted the defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, to the full-time head coach. Gators settle for Tulane's John Sumrall. All right, and they hire former Jags GM Dave Caldwell to be the general manager of football ops. Alex Golesh left South Florida for Auburn. Arkansas hired Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield, who beat Arkansas this year. Mark Stoops is going to be fired today by Kentucky after 13 years. They own $37 million in the next 60 days. Michigan State fired Jonathan Smith and hired Pat Fitzgerald after a 3-year hiatus to be their head coach. By the way, Sparty is going to owe Smith over $30 million. AP poll came out, for what it's worth. Nothing really changed, except pay attention to the playoff committee Tuesday night. If they follow the AP, who had James Madison 19th, and then the AAC schools, North Texas, Tulane, and Navy 20, 21, and 23, because that would mean that if Duke wins the ACC championship, the ACC would not get a playoff berth. More on that later in the week. NBA, Peyton Pritchard with 42 for the Celtics. They beat the Cavs 117-115. Oklahoma City's 20-1. They've won 12 in a row. They beat Portland, the only team to beat them this year in Portland, 123-115. Knicks have won 4 in a row. They beat Toronto by 22. Atlanta in double overtime beat Sixers. Embiid came back 142-134. Houston, they've won 4 in a row. KD with 25. Timberwolves over the Spurs, 125-112. Zach Edey had his breakthrough in the NBA last night with 32 points, 17 rebounds for Memphis in a 115-107 win in Sacramento. Lakers have quietly won 7 in a row. They beat New Orleans 133-121. Interesting development. College hoops for the 3rd year in a row wants to change when the transfer window will be and for how long it will be. They are proposing now the transfer window be a 15-day period of time that begins the day after the men's and women's tournaments end. So it'd be 15-day windows in April. Seems to make sense as opposed to what they currently have on the books. Hockey, Mark. Ovi with an empty netter. That's goal 909. Washington 4-1 over the Islanders. Carolina beat Calgary in overtime 1-0. Bedard had 2 goals, 2 assists for the Blackhawks, who snap a losing skid 5-3 over Anaheim. And Wyatt Johnston, a hat trick for the Stars, 6-1 over Ottawa. The holiday weekend began with some sad news. Fuzzy Zeller passed away at the age of 74, the 2-time major champion. We had him on the show a few times over the years. Always a delight. He had connections to Southwest Florida because he actually began his golfing career at what was then Edison Community College and is now, Florida Southwestern, which is where the FM shootout was and where the City of Palms basketball is. And Fuzzy told great stories about what it was like there. Toronto, the Blue Jays signed Dylan Cease, 7 years, $210 million. That's how expensive pitching is. And the WNBA and the players agree to a 40-day extension to try to work out a contract. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was the starting 5. 5 big stories and one last talk about Fuzzy here on Miller and Moulton. Hour 2 next.
This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verreau versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Football season is back and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You on a FaceTime call there?
Kind of just texting and talking things out.
Gotcha.
Not. I just want to scream about a couple of things.
Okay.
You're right, Left Twix. You're right. I said they're 6-6-1. They're 6-5-1. Yes, if they win out, they get to 11, and I think they're going to have to. I actually think Canada Relief, what you're alluding to. I actually think the Cowboys' best chance to make the playoffs is now to win the East. If the Eagles are going to do this year what they did 2 years ago. Paul, I think the only thing Stoops has hinted at is that he might give Kentucky a break on when they have to come up with the money. Contractually, they have to come up with all of it within 60 days. Okay. Reportedly, he has said to them he's willing to work with them. We'll see.
Yes, Shimko. Bama is in. Hey, 6215 there. I am just curious. I've never seen you in the chat room before, so welcome. Are you joining us from Florida, Huntsville? Where are you taking in the show?
We all hated the Harsin hire, 6215. I'm curious. I thought Hugh Freeze was not, I didn't think he would fail.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Overreaction Monday. It's the first day of December. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Thanks for starting your week and your month off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So much football to chew on, wrap our head around, etc. Can we go back to Thanksgiving Day and just kind of work our way through a little bit?
All right, we can. I just had to remember back when that was.
I know, and it's part of why I did it, because so much has gone down since nearly 96 hours ago. So about 90 hours ago, the Packers and the Lions played. You remember that?
I do. You're right. They did play.
Yeah, about 90 hours ago, they kicked off.
Uh-huh.
And the thought was, Green Bay's not going to get a sweep. That's hard to get. Detroit's going to win at home, blah, blah, blah. Well, Green Bay got the sweep. Detroit lost at home. And, Mark, we went a full hour and we did not mention this. And he's not the only coach because, man, every damn week this is the case. If you're Brad Holmes, do you need to call Dan Campbell into the office and say, I know the agreement is you do the coaching and I do the general managing, but Dan, you have to start kicking some field goals to the point where I may have to be the one who has the authority to tell you in your headset, all right, it's time to kick a field goal. Otherwise, we're going to have big problems because you're costing us games.
David, there's no doubt that everything that you said there is true. And I know he couldn't respond with this. But if I were Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes told me what to do, I may look back at him and said, how the hell do we not have Jalen Phillips? Because Brad Holmes has done a terrific job drafting players for the Detroit Lions. He did not do what any of us felt was necessary in the offseason to improve the defense. And then during the season, he sat on his hands at the trade deadline. So while everything you say I agree with, the brain trust on all sides of the Lions right now, to me, is failing them in the only window that they've had in my lifetime.
The 15-win Lions from last year are out of the playoffs currently. The 14-win Vikings are vying for a top 5 pick in the draft this year. The Chiefs are 2 games out of a playoff spot, and the Ravens are 500. Not that the NFL has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or anything in less than a year's time. Then the next day, the Bears go into Philadelphia, and no one, and I mean no one, thought they were going to win. Never mind the fact that, Mark, they dominated the Eagles. I mean,
they did.
That game was close at the half, and statistically, it wasn't. In fact, I think many of us, if we were watching the game, were thinking, are the Eagles going to make the Bears pay for only being up 10-3 at the half when they've absolutely dominated? And the answer was no. The Bears were just going to keep on keeping on, whooping them.
David, because we all knew that if there was going to be a team that dominated the running game in Bears-Eagles, it would be Hurts and Saquon.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm wrong. Because the rushing yards in that game were 281 to 87 in favor of the Chicago Bears. They went into Philadelphia and shoved it down the Eagles' throats.
Humiliated them. They did. Far worse than the score. Far worse than the score. I mean, that was a Monsters of the Midway performance. And when is the last time on offense that the Bears showed up somewhere and absolutely kicked the tar out of a good team? And you could say whatever you want about the Eagles right now, but come on. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They've gone to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. And up until 2 weeks ago, they were the 1 seed in the NFC. Yeah, they're scuffling right now. But the Bears kicked the crap out of them, and they did it on offense.
And ran it down their throat. If there was one thing that most of us believed that the Eagles were really good at, was at the defensive line of scrimmage. And they were manhandled by the Chicago Bears. Terrific performance. Terrific, David.
And it happened. It finally happened. We've got teams that were on long winning streaks. The Broncos survived. It nearly happened to them last night. They survived and raced to the airport to fly home. But the Rams couldn't. Long winning streak, all those big wins against good teams, the Niners and the Seahawks and what have you. Okay, did they have a letdown against this team? No. That team? No. They go to Carolina. And Carolina beats them. Bryce Young outplays Matthew Stafford for 3 hours. Hey, he did. 3 TDs, no turnovers. Stafford, 3 turnovers, whether they're on him or not. All right. Whew. Carolina with, Mark, if you're a Bucs fan, weren't you expecting, okay, we're going to beat Arizona, but the Rams are going to beat Carolina. We're going to be a game and a half up on Carolina. Okay. We're going to be 2 games up in the loss column. They're going to be 6-7. We're going to be 7-5. All we have to do is split with the Panthers, and that division's ours. Home playoff game, blah, 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 blah. That changes everything. That's like, when coaches talk about we got to steal a possession. Carolina stole one here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're being a little generous saying that that Bryce Young completely outplayed Stafford. Yeah, because of the interceptions, he had the better day. But, the Rams outgained Carolina. It was a little bit of what you talked about. When Detroit got going, they went for it on 4th down and got it. They have the T-shirts, 4th down and F it. Well, Carolina, not only were they 3 of 3 on 4th down, they were nearly 500 on 3rd down. But if you add the other 3, they went 10 of 15 converting in the game. Those 4th down conversions for Carolina were everything. Everything.
Cincinnati's Thursday night, they kicked the tar out of the Ravens in Baltimore.
Whooped them.
The 31st ranked run defense, okay, I don't know if they shut down the Ravens running attack or if the Ravens just decided not to run the ball. Derrick Henry had 10 carries? What the heck? They can't stop the run. Just run the ball. No, I don't think they ran the ball in the second quarter after Henry scored. I think they threw 10 consecutive passes after that. What the hell? And so Cincinnati humiliates the Ravens in Baltimore. What? I mean, Mark, the Eagles faltering. How about the Colts? Hello. Daniel Jones with a leg injury. They've now lost to 2 good teams back-to-back in the Chiefs and the Texans, and now they got to go to Jacksonville. Hello? Are we still riding the Colts? Do we still think they're going to make the playoffs? Never mind win the South?
By the way, just quickly on the Colts, they have 3 division games left. 2 with the Jags that they're tied with. 1 more with Houston on the road. I know sweeps are tough, but now they got to go to Houston to win. Oh, yeah, by the way, their other 2, Seattle and San Francisco. Hell, David, people talking about earlier, a couple of weeks ago about the Colts being the 1 seed, about what are the Colts going to do in the postseason. Hey, David, are we sure the Colts are going to make the playoffs?
No, we are not, Mark. No, we are not, because they're a game behind Houston, and Houston's basically saying, well, we control our own thing now. Now, Houston doesn't have an easy schedule either, including going to Kansas City this coming Sunday. But we did say heading into the holiday, Houston was at Indy and at Kansas City, and they needed a split because if they could get it, there were 2 layups on the other side of it. Don't they have like the Saints and the Raiders?
You're close. Arizona and the Raiders, but
okay.
Yes.
So even if Houston loses in Kansas City to fall to 7-6, you figure Houston's going to be 9-6 with 2 weeks to play. And that's going to be very much alive in the South, if not for a wild card. Wow, is the NFL nuts? By NFL standards, doesn't the NFL feel nuts right now?
Oh,
not Indiana 12-0 and Vanderbilt 10-2 nuts, but doesn't the NFL by NFL standards feel nuts?
Absolutely.
The Bears are the
Eagles
1 seed.
And Burrow go whack Baltimore. I mean, how many wins is it going to take to win the NFC North this year? 9?
Hell.
Or is this an old NFC West division where it's going to be an 8-9 Ravens and an 8-9 Steelers looking at tiebreakers?
I think 9 right now is a lock, Mark.
I agree.
I think what you're bringing up, it could just be the right 8.
I'm telling you. And Cincinnati's going, we're not out yet. We're not out yet.
Oh, man. If they do it again, They were 4-8 last year, ran the table. Now they're trying to run the table from 3-8. Man, the Dolphins are going, hey, listen, hold our beer compared to the Bengals. My goodness.
By the way, currently Miami will pick 12th in this year's draft. How about the end of that game? The Saints score, go for 2 to tie it, throw the pick 2. They're down 4. The Saints kick an onside kick, and I'll be damned. They get it.
Yep. It's a good thing Minka took it back to the house. Okay,
Right.
because otherwise the kid from New Orleans, the Irish guy there, had kicked nearly a 60-yard field goal earlier in the game. Okay, they were damn near in field goal range when they recovered the kick.
And we were all set on the Rams being the best team in the NFL. They just got beat by Carolina. This league, week to week, changes so drastically, it's not even funny. Miller and Moulton, some of the text line for you next. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for details.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
What kind of relief? Let me ask you. You okay if Bryce Young is your franchise quarterback? Like they're going to pick up his 5th-year option at the end of his 3rd season. But if you're Carolina, are you thinking we got to lock him up in a long-term deal? Or are you still going, yeah, I got to let this thing play out? I got to say this, RJ Harvey has been better than I thought he would be, but they can't run the ball well enough. They got to work on that in the next month.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Kiffin Brockway, who covers the Gators, is scheduled to join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Matt Moscona, who covers LSU as well as anybody, in our opinion. He'll join us a little over an hour from now. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It's an Overreaction Monday, although we're not sure you can overreact to the weekend's events. That you might get a mulligan today. It might be Mulligan Monday instead of Overreaction Monday.
2 off the tee Monday? I like it. I like it. All right. A couple of things here. First off, we did put a poll question up damn near an hour ago. We haven't even brought it up yet. Probably should bring it up.
Okay.
It's very simple. Would you have let Lane Kiffin coach Ole Miss in the playoffs? Because I was in the camp that I would have. And I believe I was wrong in that line of thinking. And I've not retweeted it, which is on me, or reposted it, or whatever you want to talk about. But he's their OC. And what's their best shot to win the playoff? It was with Lane calling plays. He's good at it. He is what he is. The reporter in Oxford may have been right. I mean, when we get right down to it, you know, the hats I see that people have superimposed Ho in LSU colors and put on Lane's head, I don't think are that inaccurate. I don't. His clothes being put at the sidewalk are very Ho-ish in that regard, too, although Ole Miss did that. But I was texting with a buddy of mine who lit me up. And I just, you know, I didn't even really bring it. He went after me about the idea of Lane coaching. And he went back, and I've known this guy for over 40 years. And he went back, and he and I played high school hockey together. And he put our high school hockey coach out there and said, imagine the playoffs come. And Phil leaves and goes and coaches, and he named our rival school. You think anybody in our locker room would have wanted him to coach us in the playoffs? Are you out of your damn mind? And I sat there, and I had no response. And I went, holy crap, you're right. And then he went on and on and on about those Ole Miss players, that they would really want the guy who spurned them for LSU to coach them. That's just one part of it. The other part of it is, in the portal era, are you really going to let Lane spend another 2, 3, 4 weeks with the players he is certainly going to try to poach, those that still have eligibility left, to come with him to LSU and work on them even more. So while initially I thought that I would let Lane coach because it gave Ole Miss their best shot to do what? Win a national title. And I still think that's the case. I'll be fascinated tomorrow if the committee penalizes Ole Miss for their coach leaving. But just on the surface of this question, would you have let Lane coach Ole Miss in the playoffs? My mind, by sound argument, can be changed. I was set. I thought I would. And when it was presented to me in a couple of different ways, but one that punched me right in the mouth, punched 16-year-old Mark Miller right in the mouth, I went, that's the best analogy you could have put at me. Because there's no way that if I was in that locker room and my coach left me to go coach a rival, that I'd want him around. I wouldn't. Thought it was a great argument. Don't know what you would do. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller _Moulton on X. It's about to be that Mark Miller because I've not reposted it yet, like the moron that I am. But I ultimately think that the AD at Ole Miss was right. Get your crap and get out.
Mark, like you, last week, I was like, listen, if you can have him coach and give you the best chance to win playoff games, you're Ole Miss. This doesn't come around every day. You got to do it. And then I changed my tune, especially since it was getting so messy at the end. You know, reportedly actively recruiting current players to follow him next year. The whole thing with the coaches, was he giving them ultimatums or not? You know, like it was, and this is a different scenario. I think it's apples to oranges, but like 25 years ago when Nick Saban left Michigan State was furious with him, but they didn't let him take any coaches. And for whatever reason, okay, none of the coaches followed him to LSU. He had to go to LSU and start from scratch. And everybody stayed behind with the guy who I think was his defensive coordinator, who they promoted and gave the head coaching job to, which is exactly what Ole Miss did here. But I guess times have changed and you can't enforce that anymore, or, you know, people don't honor contracts like they used to, whatever the situation was. Mark, I would have been, if I was the AD at Ole Miss, and I thought Lane said it well when he said, listen, he has to live here. I'm leaving here. Okay. He basically made it sound as if, yeah, the AD couldn't keep me. They would have run him out of town. Okay. I'm wondering if he had put it to a vote to the team. I'm just wondering if the team had signed off on Lane staying, would you have kept him? Would you have given the team, you know, they're hurt, they're angry, whatever it is they're feeling, or maybe nowadays they're not hurt, they're not angry, who knows? Okay, but there's a part of me that wondered, do you let the team decide?
No, they're a lot of those players are mercenaries. They're bought and brought in to play football. They're not bought and told to make decisions about the coaching staff. And I know what you're saying, and I understand what you're asking. And perhaps rationally, that's the right move. But I do think, like you said, when Marty had him in the side service entrance to the airport there yesterday afternoon, he's got to live there. And Lane, the one thing I don't, and I know we'll hear it out of other coaches, Lane, please don't ever give me, I prayed. Please. I can't. I can't. That's where you came to your decision? After the 30 for 30 and all the things that you've changed and what Oxford meant to you and all of that? You prayed, or Pete Carroll told you your dad would have told you to. It was one of those two. Either God or Pete Carroll apparently told you to go to LSU.
If I was Lane, I couldn't have left. There's a thing called timing. And even if you view LSU as a better job than Ole Miss, which clearly he does, if you think I'll have a better chance to win national championships at LSU than Ole Miss, which historically the answer is obvious. Mark, I don't know about you, but I think we've all had instances in our life in which the timing has just not worked out. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. If he had lost the Egg Bowl, okay, the timing may have been perfect. The team will have laid down on him. Okay, he will have handled this so badly that the fan base was angry with him. He might as well leave. But I just felt that the timing was not right for him to leave. It wasn't. 2 years earlier, sure. Even after last year, they lost to Florida late and missed a spot in the playoff with a team that was probably should have made the playoff. You can't listen to a word he says the rest of his life and believe it.
Not a single word.
Not a word.
Not one.
No.
Still a gifted play caller. We'll still get great players there. May win a natty there.
Yep.
But when he opens his mouth, all I'm ever going to hear is the teacher from Peanuts for the rest of my life. Oh, by the way, Ole Miss hosts LSU next year.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
There's something magical about the holidays, and at the Diamond District, it's the season we look forward to all year long.
The lights, the laughter, the feeling of giving. That moment someone opens a gift that truly sparkles.
When you walk through our doors, our team is ready to welcome you with warmth and expert guidance. No pressure. Just people who love helping you create unforgettable moments.
Stunning diamond jewelry to wrap up the wonder of the season.
The Diamond District. Se habla español.
At the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thank you, Mongo. I'm with you, Robes. I would not have left if I was Lane, even though I know LSU's a better job, even though I know I have a better chance of winning a championship at LSU. The other thing is that what's Lane, like 51? You know, Lane could have left in 5 years. You know, he still could have had this move in him. He could have taken LSU job the next time it opened up. He really could have. Yeah, he's 50. He turns 51 next May. I mean, I think I'd sit this one out if I was Lane. I would say timing, just not the right time. Left Twix, I don't think he would have lost out. I don't. You can't tell me if Lane had continued to win 9+ games at Ole Miss consistently, you really don't think? I'm telling you, LSU comes beating down his door the next time the job opens up. And that might be the time he can publicly say to the Ole Miss Nation, you know, now's the time.
I think if he takes them through this playoff and whatever would have happened, and he would have left in a year, 2 years, 3 years, they would have been fine with it. They would have. Like David said, timing.
Plus, the other thing, and we did say this 6 weeks ago, well, maybe it was 5 weeks ago. Ole Miss and LSU are rivals. They're border states. From Ole Miss's standpoint, that's their second nastiest game. And it ain't close, by the way. It's Mississippi State and it's LSU. Alabama is a distant third, barely rates on the scale compared to Mississippi State and LSU. Well, Robes, I think if he had NFL aspirations, all he had to do was wait another month. He could have turned down LSU and gotten an NFL job soon. Like, you don't think Tennessee would hire him? Hell, the Giants might hire him. Yeah, then, you know, left Twix, then, okay, he didn't go to LSU. But, you know, the Alabama job's going to open up at some point. He could have hung out and waited for that job.
I texted Kevin and I sent him the link. I don't know.
Right.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Matt Moscona scheduled to join us 1 hour from now. We'll get the LSU perspective on the Lane Kiffin saga. They won it. Gold medal to LSU. Silver medal to Ole Miss. And a distant bronze to the Gators. Hoping to catch up with Kevin Brockway, who covers the Gators, to discuss the route that Florida took and whether they pulled away from Lane or, well, Lane pulled away from them and then they tried to make the best of it.
Yeah. Well, the route they took or how they came up with the route, or was it just a detour?
If Billy Napier had not been the last head coach, would people be reacting this way in your estimation to Sumrall? Because he's coming from a group of 5/6 and, you know, I mean, his record the last 4 years at Troy and Tulane, he was in the conference championship game 4 years in a row. I mean, he's a good coach with SEC connections.
No, I mean, I will say I've not gotten a ton of super negative text on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. 21,000 is the number, by the way. If you're looking to send your text in, Miller is the keyword. But a Gator fan says, I wanted Kiffin for the entertainment. Summerall seems capable of winning quickly at new programs. I just hope the team can score some points. So tired of the boredom. I think the Gator fan, at least, it's a combination of shock and depression. The fact that at least it seems that they had as good of shot as getting Lane as LSU, and by all accounts, they screwed it up. I mean, it wasn't, and maybe at the end of the day, it was choice A, choice B, and he took door number one, and that door was LSU. But David, I know you have people that you trust. I have a few that I trust when it comes to the Gators. That's not the impression I'm getting. The impression I'm getting from the people that I trust is Florida screwed this up. And that really bothers the Gator fan right now. They wanted the shiny toy. They didn't get it.
I also think, and I'm probably going to catch some heat with the Gator faithful that I know, but I really believe this is accurate. They don't think they can go head-to-head for something and lose. They think they're the best situation available. They disagreed with us, Mark, vehemently 6 weeks ago when Napier got fired and then BK got fired a week later. And we said LSU's a better job than Florida. And Gator Nation blanked us, okay, in no uncertain terms. Gator fan was hot. And we're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Out there, it's a better job. Obviously, you don't feel that way. But out there, it's a better job. And they finished third. That's, we love the Gator fan, but part of the Gator fan is its arrogance. And that's a cold shower. And it's like, oh my goodness, look at where we have fallen. 20 years ago, Urban Meyer was choosing Florida over Notre Dame. And now it's a sobering reality that your house is not fully in order. You're not running at top speed. So when someone from the outside is looking at your job, they don't see it as in the same category as, forget Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia. They don't see it in the same category as LSU, as Notre Dame. I don't even think they say it in the same category as Penn State. And that's why the program needs to be put back together again. Is John Sumrall as coach and former Jags GM and currently Eagles front office executive Dave Caldwell the right approach to get the train running at top speed? Like, listen, apparently it came down to Sumrall or Golish. That apparently if Sumrall had said no or negotiations had broken down, they were hiring Alex Golish. I'm curious what Gator fan feels. Mark, how many of them mid-September, when Golish in South Florida walked into the swamp and won, told us, well, okay, I think the winning coach is our next coach, blah, blah, blah. Well, they chose Sumrall over Golish. I'm curious, would the angst be this angry, this bad, if it was Golish they hired, as opposed to Sumrall, even though I can make the case Sumrall's resume is better?
It is better. And you're right. After that South Florida game, the Gator fan wanted Golish, a lot of them.
Right.
They wanted Lane first.
Yeah, right.
But Golish was on that list. Summerall wasn't even thought of when it came to who UF wanted. As a texter says in the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, it's all about the OC hire and roster retention, which he believes is not going to happen. And then he follows it up with the new UF president, whomever that will be, needs to fire Scott Strickland.
Kevin Brockway covers the Gators for the Gainesville Sun and for the Gannett Florida Network. You can follow Kevin on X at Kevin Brockway G1, Kevin Brockway G1. All right, Kevin, we got about 10 minutes. Let's cover 9 minutes even. Let's cover a lot of ground. Did the Gators pull the plug on Lane, or is this Gators spin because Lane had told them, sorry, it's between LSU and Ole Miss?
Gators pulled the plug on Lane because of his evasive conversation, or keeping in touch. But you could make the argument that maybe Lane in his mind had his mind made up on LSU. So I could see it really both ways. That by Wednesday, I think Wednesday Florida was feeling pretty good about the situation, and then it turned on Thanksgiving Day and into Friday, and that's when they decided to go to Summerall because they were concerned about Auburn, and they were also concerned about even Ole Miss creeping in on that search.
All right. I had seen, and this is more back channel stuff, and you're more dialed in than I'll ever be, Kevin. I know that. But people that I talk to that deal with high-level boosters, some that are high-level boosters, there are stories out there that some of the boosters didn't want Lane, and that helped talks break down. Is there any there from what you've heard?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's speculation, and I do think it may have been a factor. I think another factor, based on what I'm hearing, was the Gainesville visit, and the situation here for Knox and for the high school situation here as opposed to Baton Rouge. I think weighing that also might have played a role in the whole situation as well.
Kevin, so was Summerall always the second choice? Or, is he choice 3, choice 4, choice 5? Because clearly, and you're getting the emails as well, Gator Nation is not happy with this. Was he always plan B?
He was always plan B. It was a little bewildering to me because why take a chance on a group of 5 guy again, right? It's kind of, as I wrote in my column, quoting Santiana, those that ignore history are condemned to repeat it. But this has always been Florida's playbook, the young and up-and-coming coach. And, I mean, certainly it worked in basketball for Todd Golden. It has not worked in football in a while. They feel like Summerall is different. One departure from Billy is this guy. He seems a lot more energetic. He wears his emotions on his sleeve a lot more. Maybe they're feeling the team will feed off that. He's a defensive guy, obviously, and the last defensive guy they hired, Will Muschamp, didn't work out. But there is a promise that they're going to bring in a high-level offensive coordinator. Of course, Will Muschamp had Charlie Weiss, and that didn't work out, and he left within a year. So a lot of, we will wait and see. But I do think that they were, certainly, the administration was sold on the winning. He's been to a conference championship game 4 straight times, and I think they were sold on his energy too and his enthusiasm, and they feel like he's going to be able to hit the ground running here, and he seems like a good recruiter as well, connects with people.
All right, there have been problems with some of the women's coaches and things that have been said. There have been problems with the basketball coach, although he was cleared and that just kind of all went away. The baseball coach. Scott Strickland's the one thing that's been able to get through all this. I don't know how, Kevin. I had even seen stories that there was a rally, that they wanted to have a rally yesterday to try to get people in that wanted to demand that Strickland was fired. Is he going to survive? I mean, he seems like the Teflon Don right now, Kevin.
You could make that argument, but, he got the extension through 2030. There's no buyout on it. So if you do get rid of Scott, you're going to have to swallow a lot of money. I think there are those, the board of trustees supports him. I think there are a lot, Kent Fox is a guy who, signed the contract before he was out the door, put together the contract. I think Scott is here, at least for the next couple of years until they're in a position to possibly swallow any kind of buyout that is remaining. But I do think that, listen, I've known Scott for a long time. I mean, I knew him, back in his days at Kentucky when he was a sports information director, and he's worked up the ranks. He's worked very hard to get to this position. And this is his last chance to get it right, and we'll see if he gets it right.
What is still missing from the Gators football operation that is not connected to Sumrall and Dave Caldwell? Like, is NIL wrapped up? Or because like the word out there is Ole Miss's NIL situation is better than Florida's, that the rebel cause or whatever it is better than what the Gators are doing. I mean, what else needs to be, shored up that if Sumrall and Caldwell are the right guys, that then they will be at the very top of the SEC again?
I think Florida Victorious has caught up somewhat. And I mean, I think if you look at Billy Napier's recruiting, David, there's some talented players. Yes. There. I mean, they spent a lot on DJ Lagway. They spent a lot on Dallas Wilson. That didn't work out. They spent a lot on Jaden Baugh. I would say, maybe some strength and conditioning. I mean, with the number of injuries, maybe that's an area too that you look at. Because I mean, I looked at the injury report at the end of the year, and I mean, it was, and maybe coaching as well. I do think you just have to have the right guy in place. Somebody that's, gonna, like I said, and I think one of the issues with Florida is they kind of took on, Billy Napier's personality at the end, which wasn't, you look at the number of games in the fourth quarter where you don't make a play. So we will see with John Sumrall, and if this works out, and if, his high energy and his, seems like a demand to pursue perfection and be detail oriented will show results on the field.
Napier would never give up play calling. Sumrall, you said, the defensive guy. Does he coach the defense? Have we gotten to that point yet? Or is he going to be a boss and have a coordinator on each side that are coaching each side? Or are those questions we still don't know yet, Kevin? I
think there are questions we still know. He's going to talk to the media today, so we'll get more clarity on it. I did some research on his defense. It's a 3-4 scheme. Heavy, which I think could work for Florida in terms of the linebackers, if you can get the player retention, because there's a lot of talented linebackers on this roster. Obviously Miles Graham, who was arguably Florida's best defensive player. Aaron Childs really came on. Jaden Robinson. You can play Jaden Woods out there as an edge rusher too in a 3-4 set. They force a lot of turnovers. They get a lot of sacks. They stop the run well. There's a lot to like about what he's done at Tulane defensively that can carry over here. And, I think if you look at, Florida's bad losses this year against some of the SEC heavyweights, a lot of it came down to bad tackling, right? Fundamentals. And I think he, as a former linebacker, he is probably going to stress that more than anything, that and the toughness.
30 seconds. Do they need a new quarterback? I talked to somebody over the weekend that said Billy Napier did two things wrong. He didn't give up play calling, and he chose the wrong quarterback. Do they need a new quarterback?
Yeah, I think they do, and I like DJ a lot, but I think Sumrall, Jake Reslov, from Tulane could transfer over. You never know. I mean, he could bring him with him if he feels that highly for him.
Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun, and the Gannett Network throughout the state of Florida. Follow Kevin on X, Kevin Brockway G1. Kevin Brockway G1. He's always a terrific read. He will be a must-read all this week for Gator Nation. Kevin, thanks for making time for us. We know you're busy. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Kevin Brockway joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
So there you have it. From the inside, that Lane chose LSU, that the Gators didn't screw it up, although believe what you want when it comes to that. But Strickland's there for a while, and I know that makes all the Gator fans really happy.
2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com, capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's pretty good, Adam. That's pretty good. Hey, for those of you on YouTube, help me out because I use one system so I can see both of your chats. And when I delete people, it still shows all of them. The person that decided to ambush us there, when I deleted one, did all of those texts go away or no? All right. Thank you, PJ. Appreciate it. And Left Twix, a while back, you asked me about what did I think of Bo Nix yesterday? It's kind of the same. He has, it's pedestrian at times, and then he has a good drive. I think Washington defense is pretty bad, but he's winning. You can't deny the results of what's going on.
Who's this?
Left Twix asked me what I thought of Bo Nix yesterday, and I said it's kind of. I mean, there's some really good, and then there's some what, but then he takes him on an OT drive after 3 straight punts in the fourth quarter. I mean, but the bottom line is he's winning games, and he's not costing them games. Can that beat good teams in the playoffs? We'll see. But so far, he just keeps passing tests.
Adam, that's a hell of a post there.
That's really good, isn't it, David?
Yeah,
that's outstanding.
Morning, Joe.
I mean, Kiffin's not slowing down. Tweeted out an hour ago. Exhale, have the best Monday ever. Hashtag God's plan.
Yeah, JM, I wouldn't be. I'll be very surprised if Penn State gets left out. I actually think Penn State has got a deal done.
I agree.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home on this Overreaction Monday, but can you overreact today? That could have been a poll question in and of itself. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It is the first day of December, final month of the year. I'm in Foxborough, Monday Night Football tonight. 2-10 against 10-2. Then again, with what's gone on in the NFL this past weekend, never mind this year, okay, on the shock scale of 1 to 10, how shocked would you be if the Giants won tonight? Okay, I got to admit, with what's gone on in the football world Saturdays and Sundays so far this year, I don't know if there's a result that can shock me anymore, Mark.
David, the NFL is crazy. It really is. I mean, because we all saw Carolina beating the Rams. We all saw Chicago manhandling the Eagles.
Right.
We all saw the Bengals just kicking the tire out of the Ravens. Apparently, all of us but one guy who said the Ravens beat themselves. Okay. That's not what I saw, but if you're a Ravens fan or a football fan and that's what you saw, that's fine too. It's why the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is always open. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted the show before, you need the keyword. That keyword is Miller, and that will help you get behind the green door and text as much as you would like. One thing that, we got a lot that we've spent most of our show talking Lane and LSU and the ripple effect in coaching and what the Gators have, etc. Michigan and Ohio State played on Saturday. And finally, Ryan Day was able to make Buckeye fan happy. The Natty didn't really do it for him.
You're so right, Mark. I mean, it allowed him to continue to live in Columbus and be gainfully employed, and, the threats stopped, but it didn't make them happy. Correct.
I will say I was happy that touchdown stayed on the board, but I don't know if it should have. When he was juggling the ball going into the end zone, I just, God,
okay. All right. The two, I think, the most controversial replay touchdowns of the football weekend that came and went. The touchdown in the Ohio State-Michigan game by the Buckeye receiver, the Packers receiver touchdown against the Lions Thanksgiving afternoon. I'm okay with the Ohio State touchdown. I didn't think the Packer receiver had it when they gave him credit for the right foot being down than the left. To me, I would have gone touchdown in Ohio State, Michigan, incomplete in Detroit, Green Bay.
Yeah, and I really think by the letter of the law, neither of them should have been touchdowns.
Okay.
For what it's worth. But can we just talk about the Ohio State-Michigan game, about nothing about football for a couple of seconds?
Okay.
The most savage move in the history of mascot moves ever. When Brutus crossed out the M, and then in the snow wrote the script Ohio. That's savage. I'm sorry. I don't really like either team. I don't. I respect the hell out of what Ohio State's done. They've got an amazing program going on. Buckeye fans, they're tough to handle, man. They don't ever slow down coming at you. They don't. And it's tough. But man, was that savage.
Yes, it was.
It really was.
By the way,
it really was. And then, all right, Michigan, you'd won a bunch in a row, and all the days you'd won games, and you know, Portnoy can scream it, and Woodson can scream it, and all that stuff. Great. You went to plant your flag last year. That was a big deal for you. And then after you got your ass kicked for 4 quarters, apparently it was more important to circle around your logo than it was to play hard for 4 quarters because you got your ass kicked. I know the Michigan guy doesn't want to hear it from me because you know I don't like you. But I thought that looked childish at best.
well, I didn't think it looked any more childish than Ohio State's look last year. Okay. I'll give Ryan Day credit. You know, you could clearly hear Ryan Day say to Sharon Moore, listen, you get your guys off the field and I'll make sure there's no flag planting. Okay. And Sharon Moore trusted him on it. And Ryan Day told his players in no uncertain terms, we ain't doing that. Okay. Take your win and go to the locker room. All right. So maybe we're done with the flag planting in Ohio State, Michigan. Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see. My final thing on that is that I believe that the seat starts pretty warm for Sharon Moore next year. I do. They need to go out and buy some speed for this quarterback. We got to find out whether or not this kid can play, and they need an offense that's going to allow him to get better. Because I don't think that there was a whole hell of a lot of improvement out of your $12 million quarterback.
First off, I agree with everything that you say. I think the pressure is on Moore to either change coordinators or to just have an offense that looks a lot more dynamic next year. B, though, the people making the comparisons between Ohio State's quarterback and Michigan's quarterback, that is unfair in this sense. First off, Ohio State's wide receiving core might be top 5 in the NFL. Okay. It's certainly the best on Saturdays. And it ain't close, by the way.
No, and like Alabama's is good.
Core. Right.
Alabama's is good, and they're not in the league.
They're not. They're probably second, but they ain't in Ohio State's receivers league. All right. That's the best receiving core in the country. And secondly, Sayin is 2 years removed from high school. Underwood is less than a year. Okay. It's a big difference. Big difference. You know, Sayin got to know that offense. And also, I mean, he threw the balls to those guys last year in practice. Okay. Big difference. Okay. So just give Bryce Underwood a chance. He doesn't have the same skilled players around him. Okay. And, you know, he may not have the same coaching around him, but let's just give the kid a chance. Because he ain't playing on the same playing field at this stage of his career. That's all.
So the other side of this is, and by the way, congrats to Vandy.
Whew.
Good job. In all seriousness, Vanderbilt just finished a 10-2 regular season. And they're not going to get in, but they can raise their hand right now and say, are you sure you're not letting us in this game?
I'm glad you went Vandy, because this is kind of connected, but there's been a lot of talk amongst Miami fans, you know, why play the Notre Dame game if it's not going to count, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know about you, Mark, but I've been trying to argue with Miami fan, yeah, your 10-2 wouldn't have a case and you know what if you hadn't beaten Notre Dame. All right. That's the best thing you got on your resume. Thank goodness you played Notre Dame and beat them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the discussion. Hell, you'd be behind Texas, and they've got 3 losses. Okay. I want everybody to take a look at Texas A&M's resume, if not for the win at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Texas A&M's resume.
This vaunted SEC. Man, did A&M have to play some tough games this year.
And listen, A&M's in the playoff. They deserve to be in the playoff. They're going to get a home game. Probably don't get a first-round bye now, but they'll certainly get a home game. But A&M's schedule, if they had replaced at Notre Dame with a run-of-the-mill non-conference game, it wasn't as good as Indiana's schedule last year. And it has no bearing on Texas A&M.
I don't know if it was for this BYU schedule.
It was the draw. Right. Okay. Just take a look at who A&M played on their SEC schedule. And we're going to get a lot more of this. This is not an A&M thing. This is a 2025 world that we're now in college football. We have these 16 and 18 team conferences. We have unbalanced scheduling. A&M got 7 of their 8 games was the bottom half of the SEC. All of them. They were all in the bottom half of the SEC. So they beat them, as they should. And then the one team they played in the top half of the SEC, they lost to. Solid game, they lost. It looks an awful lot like Indiana's resume from last year. But I could argue that Indiana had a win over Michigan, which at least was the middle of the Big Ten last year. A&M, so that's just something to consider going forward. A&M, they deserve the bid. They're going to get a home game. They deserve it, the whole deal. But this is something we need to keep in mind going forward. You can go 11-1 in a major conference. You can go 10-2 in a major conference, and you may not have a whole lot of meat on the bone because of the unbalanced scheduling that we're going to have going forward. Mark, I think Vandy needed that win over Tennessee, even though now you look at Tennessee, they didn't beat a single team that's bowl eligible, by the way. Tennessee went 8-4 and did not beat a bowl-eligible team. The fact they were ranked all year was a joke. They were ranked because of a close loss to Georgia. That's why they stayed ranked all year. But they did not beat a team that's going to a bowl game. And they went 8-4 in the vaunted SEC. And that's why this, in an opinion sport, Mark, this is going to get tougher than ever because unbalanced scheduling and final records don't add up.
And this is where Miller and Moulton have been on the same page for, I think, a decade. Preseason rankings matter, and they shouldn't even have them. Did A&M outside of Notre Dame beat a team that's going to a bowl?
I don't think so. But
I don't think they did either. But they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. I get it.
Right. And that's one of the best wins of the season. Okay. But, the whole 10-2 in the SEC, 11-1 in the SEC. Well, in this day and age, it cannot be as impressive as it sounds. That's all we're saying. We got to look at these resumes more closely than we've ever looked at them before.
Because we're sitting with a bunch of teams looking at 2 spots. I mean, we've got Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Miami, Vanderbilt, and Texas that are all vying for the last 2. And it's probably going to be Notre Dame and Alabama. But boy, Texas could make a hell of a case. For that matter, so could BYU. And we all know Miami beat Notre Dame. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. I'm just Greek God. Texas shouldn't even be considered. Better win beating A&M or beating Notre Dame. And then next best win, because that'd be tough to find one for Miami. Texas beat Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. So, I mean, no, if we're comparing, but I was talking about Miami, Left Twix, not, if you want to say that, A&M, look at Notre Dame's losses, but I mean, Miami's losses versus Texas's losses, and they lost 3 times. But Miami lost to Louisville and SMU. Texas did lose to Florida. They also lost to Alabama and Georgia. I mean, to Ohio State and Georgia. This is a nightmare for the committee. And you had LSU leading Oklahoma late. You had Auburn in a game with Alabama. It could have made a turn for the worse.
Auburn tied with Alabama, and Alabama gets 2 calls on 3rd downs from officials. Huh.
That's the story of Auburn's season.
Huh. Yeah.
The ACC, that Nicole Arbach was right. The ACC should have come out yesterday and said, yeah, we've changed our tiebreaker scenario effective immediately. Duke, sue us. Don't care.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We have not really talked about this next subject today, so I would like to get it in now before Matt Moscona joins us coming up in about 15 minutes' time. LSU, the winner in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Matt Moscona in a bit. Okay. Mark, we talked about a few scenarios on the day before Thanksgiving, our last live show. And one of them was, okay, if SMU loses to Cal, Duke could be in the ACC championship game. 7-5 Duke, with not a single win really worth a damn on their schedule. If you say, well, they won at Clemson, okay, you got to have a long memory, but let's go back 6 weeks ago. Do you remember one of the 3 worst calls of the year in college football? Clemson with a late lead at home against Duke. It's 4th down. The Duke quarterback throws a ball deep down the middle near the goal line. He's throwing into double coverage. The Clemson DB is inside of the Duke receiver. He's closer to the ball. The Duke receiver, right before the ball's going to get to him, 2 hands shoves the Clemson DB down to the ground. The ball falls in the end zone incomplete. Clemson starts celebrating. Flag. Pass interference, Clemson. It's clearly one of the 3 worst calls of the year in major college football. It's horrendous. The game was stolen from Clemson.
I will say, if you bring that up, Oklahoma's going to go to the playoff. One of the 3 worst calls of the season. Let Oklahoma win a football game against Auburn.
No question.
And
okay.
Now Georgia Tech's out of it. They're the other one with Wake Forest. Sorry,
right.
Go on.
So that call, and it was all, tough luck for Clemson, and Dabo's year is really bad. The reason Duke is part of the 5-way tie is because of that horrendous call. But this is where the ACC is to blame. How you can have a 5-team tiebreaker and none of the top 4 criteria to break the 5-team tiebreaker is highest ranked team amongst the 5. And so since that's not in it, in this case, it's Miami, but it could have been, name any of the other. It could have been Georgia Tech. It could have been, could have been Pitt. But this time it's Miami. I mean,
right. What if Georgia Tech would have beaten Georgia? A close game. I mean, right. And then you would have 2 10-2 teams, neither of which are playing for your conference title.
Right. Both ranked in the top, because Georgia Tech would have been in the top 15 if they had beaten Georgia. So we would have had 2 top 15 teams in the country, part of the 5-way tie, and neither of them are in because your 5th tiebreaker in a 5-way tie is something, once again, what did we just talk about? Unbalanced scheduling. And yet somehow, some way, Duke was given the scheduling edge when none of these teams were playing the same teams. And Duke doesn't have a marquee win on their schedule, yet the 1-loss record of the teams they played somehow, some way was better. And so they're in. The ACC deserves anything that is coming their way in the next 10 days. And what could come their way, and this needs to be said now before the committee speaks tomorrow night. We have said for 3 weeks now, the AP poll and the coaches poll mean nothing. Here's where I don't think they mean nothing. Mark, there were nearly 40 teams that got votes in both the AP and the coaches poll yesterday. None of those teams were named Duke. Not one vote from a coach in the coaches poll, not one AP vote that said, well, I might as well put Duke at 25. They are in the ACC title game after all. North Dakota State got 3 votes in the AP poll. Duke got none.
And right now in the AP poll, James Madison is ranked 19th in the country. They play Troy to win their conference title. North Texas is ranked 20th, and Tulane is ranked 21st. Those 2 schools, if you didn't know, are both in the American. They're playing for the American title. The winner of that game will jump James Madison in the AP. However it works out in the actual poll that matters, the playoff committee poll, we'll find out tomorrow. But Duke ain't jumping those teams.
Well, so we would think. Here's where I believe politics are going to enter play, and it's going to be right before our eyes. The committee is going to have to show their cards or answer a couple questions tomorrow night. Mark, there's going to be 2 or 3 American teams that are ranked in the committee's top 25, because that's how many were ranked last week, and they all won. Okay, so there's no doubt that the American Conference champion is going to get an automatic bid into the playoff. But remember, the criteria is the top 5 conference champions. Now, James Madison was not ranked by the playoff committee last week when they were 10-1. Now they're 11-1. Will the committee, and the committee needs to say this, if ESPN they're going to focus on, Miami, Vandy, they need to focus on who do you guys have ranked higher, James Madison or Duke? Okay, because if you go by common sense, if you go by the prevailing theory in college football right now, James Madison with a win at 12-1 should get the automatic spot over what would be 8-5 Duke if they beat Virginia. What will the committee decide? Okay, there is, I think, a real possibility, if Duke were to upset Virginia, that the ACC gets left out of the playoff. And quite frankly, they deserve it.
They
Not
do.
because they're a bad conference, but because of that 5-team tiebreaker, and you didn't include rankings in it, that's on you.
Now, James Madison obviously did not beat any ranked teams this year. Of course, neither is Duke. But if they beat Virginia, Virginia is going to be ranked in the playoff committee no worse than 18th where they are now. That'll be their one ranked win. What will they do?
I'm telling you, I want Duke to win the ACC championship so badly because I think, forget the whole, listen, they're not going to leapfrog Notre Dame with, name the school. They're not going to take Utah. They're not going to take Miami. They're not going to take Vanderbilt and leapfrog Notre Dame. They're not. It doesn't matter. They're not going to take Texas and leapfrog Notre Dame. They're just not going to do it. We all know that. We can all bring up the Miami, Notre Dame, 10-2, 10-2. The one team beat the other. It ain't going to matter. Miami's going to be out. They're out. Okay? There's 2 potential bids to be stolen. One is if BYU upsets Texas Tech. Okay? Texas Tech's going to get in. So that bid's got to come from somewhere. So who's on the bubble? Is it the 5th SEC team, or is it Notre Dame? Because this just in. Alabama's in. You don't qualify for the SEC title game, okay, and not make the playoff. Bama's in. So there's got to be a new SEC bubble team. And the second question is, if James Madison and Duke win, okay, who gets the 5th automatic conference championship bid. And everyone in the sport right now says it should go to James Madison. Mark, name the bet. Duke's ranked 25th tomorrow night. Name it.
I won't take it. I won't take it. And it'll be a joke. It will be a joke if they're going to put that team at 7-5, losing to Connecticut at 25. But this committee has always played by their own rules. And David, I'm not going to take the bet. Miller and Moulton. This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verreau versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Yes. Left Twix. Yeah. Bama's in. Period. End of sentence. Bama's in. The committee is not going to destroy the SEC and the Big Ten championship games. And by taking a team that is clearly in and kicking them out because they lost, they would destroy the conference championship game. You literally would have schools opt out of the conference title game because they don't want to put their playoff bid at risk. And how could the committee do that to Alabama when they didn't do it to SMU last year in the ACC championship game? Now, granted, SMU lost a close game, And in Alabama's case, they've already beaten the team they're playing on their home field. Bama's in. It's just a matter of, is Bama playing for a bye? Are they playing for a home game? Or are they going to be on the road if they lose? Bama's in. You know, I don't think either Ohio State or Indiana loses a bye. I don't think the loser gets dropped to 5. You know, they could drop maybe to 4, but I don't see them dropping to 5. You know, I don't think Georgia loses a home game at worst. I mean, they may get a bye if they beat Alabama, but I think the worst case, Georgia gets a home game. Yeah, Puck Virtue, here's the only scenario. BYU upsets Texas Tech. Who's currently in gets pushed out. It comes down to, it's not going to be Oregon, the third best team in the Big Ten. It'll come down to 5th place team in the SEC or Notre Dame. One of those two gets pushed out. Who's it going to be? Texas is already out. See, Puck, that's the one scenario in which I could see Notre Dame's in trouble if BYU upsets Texas Tech, because I don't think they're going to drop Texas Tech out. I'd say Georgia, because Georgia beat Texas and A&M didn't. And the only reason Georgia has a second loss was because they were made to play an extra game. So
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Matt Moscona is kind enough to join us once again. He is crushing it afternoons. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Alexandria. Follow Matt on X at Matt Moscona, Moscona. Matt, top of the morning to you, David and Mark. Hope you had a good holiday. Obviously, you couldn't relax because you had to work the whole holiday. When did you find out? Was it before the Egg Bowl, after the Egg Bowl, yesterday? When were you confident that Lane was coming?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, last Friday, the Friday before Thanksgiving, whenever the contract terms leaked to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo, that was the day that I believe LSU had a verbal from Lane Kiffin that he was coming. The terms had been agreed to. So from that point, really, the week leading up to the Egg Bowl, remember that was also the day that the Ole Miss athletic director released a statement saying that they would make an announcement about Lane Kiffin's future after the Egg Bowl. That was the day when really, for all intents and purposes, everything got done. It couldn't be official, not ink dry on paper, but that was when it was basically just get through another week. They'll play the Egg Bowl, and then he'll be in Baton Rouge. So I think LSU did a really good job of being very stealth in the way that they handled this entire process. But I think it was probably done well before most people thought or knew.
All right. Look at, Ole Miss loses the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss loses another game somewhere. The timing of this wouldn't have looked so ugly. I know LSU doesn't care, and they shouldn't care. They got their guy. But because the mess of the timing of all of this, how much more pressure does Lane have on him now in Baton Rouge? I mean, nationally, they're going to crush him forever. Is there any more pressure because of the way everything went down?
Yeah, it's interesting because he had worked so hard really to remake his legacy and and his reputation. They released a documentary this past off season, and there's a lot of that was state media, but still, I mean, I think that sort of stuff, as I understand, I don't know Lane Kiffin. I mean, I've interviewed him a few times, but I can't say that I know him. But it seems like that's the type of stuff that matters to him. The pressure in Baton Rouge, guys, is just always going to matter. LSU just fired a coach with a winning record and paid him a $54 million buyout when they were 5-3 this year. So the expectations on Lane Kiffin, he knows what they are. It's to come here and win championships. It's why they fired Brian Kelly, because he wasn't trending in that direction. It's why they went all in on Lane Kiffin, and they're going to pay him $100 million, and why they're going to give him every resource he needs, because that's just the expectation here. But you take the LSU job knowing that. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. And there's also, I've been asked this question, what type of grace period? What do you expect in the first 3 to 5 years? Like, no. Like, Kurt Cignetti took the worst job in college football, and in his first 2 years, he's had them in the playoff. Verge Osbury, LSU's athletic director, when he took the job, sat at a podium and said, "We are LSU. Our expectation is to be in the playoff every year," and that's going to be the expectation. Is that Lane Kiffin go use the resources at his disposal to build a roster and get LSU in a 12-team playoff next year.
Matt, how did LSU, or did they have to do any cleaning up from the absolute 2-week mess that was the firing of Brian Kelly and then the pushing out of the AD? And, to some of us on the outside, we're like, well, Lane Kiffin's going to look at this and go, listen, I don't need this. You guys are an unmade bed. You're mud wrestling. I mean, you don't have your act together. This ain't the LSU of Nick and of Les and of Ed Orgeron. I mean, you guys are a disaster. I don't want any part of it. How did they put Humpty Dumpty back together again in such a short period of time? Or did it not matter because Lane knows, hey, LSU is messy, but it's also one of the 5 best jobs in the sport?
It's like when you're dating a supermodel, you'll deal with a larger degree of crazy because you're dating a supermodel. That's kind of LSU. For all its flaws and warts, there's so many inherent advantages of being here that make it attractive. Now, how they've navigated that, I mean, that whole process was very clumsy. And that might be putting it mildly. And I think it was having an effect on their search, which, if you remember, Verge Osbury initially was promoted to the interim athletic director role. And then within a few days, they named him the permanent AD. And that was important. I don't know that they'd acknowledge it, but that was important because that was affecting their ability to attract candidates because of everything that was transpiring. And guys, it doesn't matter what you do professionally. If you're a football coach, a radio host, if you're an attorney, if you're a plumber, it doesn't matter what you do. Everybody wants to know who they work for. You want to know who your boss is. You want to know what the expectations are. You want to know what what resources you'll have to do your job. And LSU couldn't go approach agents about their clients and answer the question, well, who is my client going to work for? And so when they promoted Verge Osbury, that stabilized things. And I know most people outside of here don't know who Verge is, but he's been in the LSU athletic administration for 30 years. He's supremely qualified to do the job. Maybe no one more qualified to do the job. And he's very well respected in coaching circles, agent circles, athletic administration. So he's got a great relationship with Nick Saban, great relationship with Jimmy Sexton. And so a lot of those things sort of tilled the soil to get this deal specifically done with Lane Kiffin.
All right. Is it easier? And I know Lane's going to try to get kids from Ole Miss. Lane's been great in the portal. But based on the things you're talking about and the advantages we now know that LSU has over other schools, is retention of the talent there easier than maybe at some other places?
When you're talking about Louisiana kids, it is, because this is one of the things I always say about LSU is its greatest advantage is the dirt. LSU and Ohio State are the only two Power 4 programs that are in talent-rich states where they are the only power program in that state. There's other places like Arkansas where that's the only Power 4 program in their state, but there's no talent in Arkansas. Louisiana is as fertile recruiting ground as there is in the country, and there's a lot of kids that grow up just genuflecting at the purple and gold altar. They give an arm just to put on that uniform. And so you are going to retain Louisiana kids more so. I mean, a great example of that is a guy like Malik Neighbors. As great a player as he was at LSU during the bowl opt-out era, Malik played in the bowl game because he wanted to become LSU's all-time leading receiver. That was important to him as a kid from Lafayette who went to Westgate to be able to put his name ahead of Odell and Jarvis Landry and Josh Reed and some of the other great ones that came through this program. So retention is easier for the Louisiana kids, but this roster specifically, guys, remember, LSU had the number one portal class in the country this year. They went and bought a bunch of one-year mercenaries, and all of those guys are gone. So Lane Kiffin is going to have a massive rebuild of this roster at hand for 2026.
Matt, did you ever think in your life that you would be a part of a bigger zoo than when Nick Saban came to Baton Rouge for the first time as the head coach of Alabama? Because when Lane and LSU go to Oxford next year, I was there in 2008 when Nick showed back up for the first time since leaving. Okay. And that was as crazy gets. And Alabama survived in overtime. Okay. But I really think when Lane goes to Oxford next year, it's going to top it.
I agree. That I was at that game. Look, I've seen a lot of games in Tiger Stadium, and that was filled with as much vitriol and hate as I can remember. It's different when you're passionate about wanting your team to win in a big game and that anxiousness that builds. That was anger and hate. But Nick didn't leave LSU for Alabama.
No.
Nick left for the NFL, which everyone understood. When he was with Miami, they played a game in Tiger Stadium in the Katrina year against the Saints, and people were there cheering for the Dolphins.
Right.
Because they love Nick.
Right.
It changed when he went to Alabama. There was a buffer. This, Lane leaving the manner in which he left to go to a conference rival, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like in Oxford next year. I had a friend that covers Ole Miss on the beat, said he's actually concerned for people's safety. And that wasn't like a funny tongue-in-cheek thing. It was like he was legitimately concerned about what may happen on that weekend. So hopefully with a little time that passes, things will calm down. But my goodness, that's going to be a scene. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the game if there's one college football game I could go to next year, that would be the game that I want to go to, and I have no idea other ones that I'd be missing. There's no doubt. All right, the part of Lane, there was a lot of ultimatums, supposedly. Lane's denied a lot of it. What are you hearing about the coaches he's bringing with him, and how much truth do you think there was? You're either on the plane or you're not coming.
Well, I don't know that Lane gave ultimatums like that, and I also don't know that Ole Miss necessarily gave ultimatums so as to say, if you're leaving, then go now. And I'll give you an example of that, which is Kevin Smith, who you guys might be familiar with from his time at UCF. He was a running back there and played in the NFL. Well, he's Lane's running back coach, who's been with him since he was at FAU. Well, Kevin Smith wasn't on the plane yesterday to Baton Rouge, but it is still widely believed and assumed that he's going to ultimately join Lane's staff. So I think I think most defensive assistants are going to stay at Ole Miss with Pete Golding being promoted. And that may actually work out to LSU's favor. It means there's a really good chance they could retain Blake Baker, who's a fantastic defensive coordinator. Most people would like to see that defensive staff stay in place. But I do think from Ole Miss's perspective, and I don't cover Ole Miss, but I feel like I do after the last month. But from Ole Miss's perspective, they're getting ready for a playoff game And they have to have somebody to coach offense. I mean, Lane Kiffin's gone. Charlie Weiss Jr. got on the plane, and Joe Cox, their co-offensive coordinator, was also on the plane yesterday to Baton Rouge. So, and their receivers coach is joining Lane Kiffin as well. So that offensive staff, more than half of it's in Baton Rouge right now, including their two primary play callers. So there's even been some talk here that Charlie Weiss Jr. could potentially go back to coach the bowl game before joining LSU full time. There's still a lot of unknowns. Lane's going to meet with the media today for the first time. He'll be introduced at 3:30 Central, and I'm sure a lot of this will be answered. But there's still a lot of unknowns with how all of this is going to play out over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Matt, who's Plan B? Because like the Gators are getting all kinds of grief for Sumrall and their new approach. I'm just curious. Do you know who or what was Plan B?
Yeah, last Saturday when I was at Tiger Stadium for LSU's game against Western Kentucky. Again, remember, I told you guys earlier, I think that Friday, the day before that, is when they had verbally agreed with Lane, like it was going to happen. I was told that day from someone familiar with LSU search, we don't have a good Plan B. That was a quote. Eli Drinkwitz was that guy. But the problem is nobody here was really excited about that option. And that's an option that was going to cost you $11, $12 million a year, which that's hard to justify for Eli Drinkwitz. So, after that, John Sumrall is someone that I think they were interested in talking to, but because they were so pod committed to Lane Kiffin, they never really went down the road with Sumrall. And so they never really were able to engage in those conversations. It would have been fascinating had Lane gotten cold feet and stayed in Oxford. They could have gone and re-engaged with Drinkwitz because, as I was told, even though he signed a contract extension, his buyout didn't change. So it would have been no different if LSU had hired Eli Drinkwitz on Sunday as if they would have hired him the day before Thanksgiving from a monetary perspective. Would have been a terrible look for Drinkwitz after putting out the tweet that he had extended with Mizzou. But because LSU was so pod committed with Kiffin, and they told him from the beginning, they were willing to wait. They told Lane, look, you want to coach the playoff? Go coach the playoff. We'll wait. LSU was going to wait through the December signing period, the January portal. They would have waited to the national championship. But because they were willing to be patient,
right,
they also allowed the candidate pool to dry up.
Right.
And they really would have been left without a good option. I mean, you might have been looking at LSU doing what Ole Miss did and promoting their defense coordinator, Blake Baker. I mean, I think that would have been a very real possibility.
Wow.
Okay. Had Lane backed out here in the 11th hour.
Matt Moscona, he'll be busy this afternoons in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and Alexandria. And Lane Kiffin having his presser at 3:30 in the afternoon Central Time today. Follow Matt on X at Matt Moscona, Moscona, here on Miller and Moulton.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239 444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verot versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
For everybody that's in the chat room right now, Twitch or YouTube, can you guys humor me for the next 3 minutes? Right now, the teams that are in the playoff, there are 5 from the SEC: Alabama, Georgia, A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. There's 3 in the Big Ten: Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon. There's Texas Tech from the Big 12. There's, Virginia, I guess, if they win from the ACC. There's a group of 5 team, and there's Notre Dame. 5-3-1-1-1-1. That's the 12. If BYU beats Texas Tech in a rematch, who's out? Tell me. Is it Texas Tech? Are they out? Do they fall from 4th or 5th in the poll to out? Is it the last SEC school? And does that mean that school is Alabama? Does that mean if they lose? Does that mean that school's Oklahoma? Does that mean that school's Notre Dame? Does that mean that somebody needs Duke to win the ACC title game so that the ACC doesn't get, but the problem is they would be replaced by the Sun Belt champion, James Madison. I mean, that's the fly in the ointment. We got the whole Duke James Madison thing that could happen, but there's a spot for 5 conference champions. It's just a matter of, is it the ACC champion or the Sun Belt champion? That doesn't affect the bubble amongst the big power programs. If BYU upsets Texas Tech, who is out? Who's currently in? Now, Puck Virtue Yeah, the sport's always had argument. Here's the funny thing, though. This year, if the sport had 16, there'd be no debate. Because think about it. BYU would get in, Miami would get in, Vandy would get in, and then what would the debate be? Texas versus what?
No, I mean, well, yeah, I guess if Virginia wins, Texas would get,
so that's, I will say 16 this year, there's no discussion. You would just fill in the blanks.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, the Diamond District bonus hour on this Overreaction Monday, December 1st. I don't know. I think the year has flown by. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, would you have let Lane Kiffin coach Ole Miss in the playoffs? Yay or nay? I don't think the yays have it.
No, it's 75-25. And Miller and Moulton both reversed course from last week. Last week, we were both of the opinion that we'd let Lane coach. But upon further review, and it was really me being chastised by an old friend over the weekend. It was texting, and he didn't use all caps, but he didn't have to.
Right.
He broke it down in a way that I'm like, damn, you're right. I've got no argument for that. And allowing Lane 2-3 more weeks with all the players he's already going to try to poach, I couldn't do it. And I don't know if I could have played for him and believed anything that was coming out of his mouth after the way he's talked for however long to that locker room and then abruptly changed. So 75-25 on the nose. Would you have let Lane coach Ole Miss in the playoffs? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. It is the Diamond District bonus hour, brought to you by Todd and Jason at the Diamond District. The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is always open. 21,000 is the number. 21,000 Pelican Roofing of Florida for all your roofing needs, commercial, residential, statewide. 1-866-9-Pelican.
Okay. We'll get to the NFL in a little bit. Monday Night Football. I'm in Foxborough. Patriots trying to remain the 1 seed in the AFC, trying to also remain 2 games ahead of the Bills in the loss column. Don't want to lose so that when you have the rematch with Buffalo in a couple of weeks, okay, in theory, the Patriots could be playing that game with house money. Win and they win the East, lose, they're still in first. So important for the Patriots who won 9 in a row to take care of business tonight. 7-point favorites at home against the Giants, who can't get out of their own way, as we know. Mark, can we go through an exercise in which I ask the questions, you provide the answers? There are no wrong answers.
Okay. I didn't know we were exercising this early. I'm not really ready for it. I've got the wrong shoes.
Don't worry. I don't think there will be a pulled hamstring or calf muscle, or I think the Achilles are safe, the whole deal. Here's the exercise. I think the premise is we don't believe that tomorrow night the committee is going to change any of the teams that were in the playoff last week to be out this week, correct? They may change some of the rankings, A&M will move down, etc. But we think that the top 10 teams are still going to be in, and then there's the group of 5 champion, and then there's going to be either the ACC champ or the Sun Belt champ, whoever the 5th conference champion is. So the top 10 teams who were the top 10 last week You were convinced it will be the top 10 again tomorrow night, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Are you also of the belief that Alabama, who was 10th last week, which means they were on the bubble, but now that they've played their way into the SEC championship game, they are not on the bubble. They are in no matter the result of the SEC title game?
I agree with that. The question really becomes for Alabama, to me, somehow, some way, would they take the win on the road at Auburn and place them higher than Notre Dame with their win on the road at Stanford?
Oh, I think it's okay. So that Notre Dame and Alabama would flip this week.
Yeah, again, the top 10's not going to change, but the order we think will. How does that shake out?
And I would argue I don't think it's important because I think Alabama in the SEC championship game has three things at play. They could, by being SEC champion, get a bye. They could be the 4 seed, in which the committee goes, hey, the SEC champion's worthy of a bye. Okay. They
because
could.
Georgia's going to have but for the record, Georgia will have a bye tomorrow when we do this. They'll be number 3.
Right.
Alabama will have beaten them twice.
Right.
And
Georgia,
they don't get a bye.
Exactly. So, right. Georgia's playing for whether they get a bye or whether they get a home game. Alabama, potentially, you could make the case they should be the 4 if they win and they get a bye. You could certainly, if Alabama beats Georgia again, you could see where Bama's going to get a home game. And I guess it's Alabama loses. If we're in agreement, we think they're in no matter what, then Alabama's a road team in the first round of the playoffs. Okay.
Right.
Here then is the scenario. Who is now the bubble team? And the only reason it applies is if BYU were to beat Texas. It doesn't matter the results.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. Because you and I both believe Texas Tech is in no matter what.
We do. We believe they're in. Now, I believe if they lose, they'll be a road team. I think they'll be seeded 9 through 12, but I think they'll be a road team. I think at worst, Texas Tech, with a win, is a home team, probably the 5 seed. But I think Texas Tech, I think the bye is in play for Texas Tech.
David, I'm not joking. I would be stunned if Texas Tech wins next week and doesn't get a bye. Like, I'm not joking. I think they're playing for a bye.
Okay. So BYU beats Texas in the Big 12 title game. Right now, there's no debate. There's 5 SEC schools. All right. There's Alabama, Georgia. There's A&M. There's Ole Miss. There's Oklahoma. All right. All of whom won this week except for A&M. All right. There's the 3 Big 10 teams. Everybody agrees. Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, combined 35-1. They're all in. Just a matter of how they're going to be seeded, buys, home games, etc. And then there's one for the Big 12, one for ACC/Sunbelt, one for Notre Dame, and one for the American. All right. BYU, who's currently 11th and will be 11, 12, whatever tomorrow night. They'll be just out. They beat Texas Tech. They win the Big 12. They get an automatic berth. There's no debate if BYU wins. They're in. Mark, who are they taking the spot from? If we agree Bama went from the bubble to in by getting into the SEC championship game, by seeding, Mark, you know who was on the bubble? Notre Dame. You know who the next closest team on the bubble is? Oklahoma. You tell me, if it's 11-2 Texas Tech as a potential at-large, who are they getting the at-large at the expense of? Oklahoma or Notre Dame?
All right. This is really difficult because there's a couple of things at play here. And I do believe Alabama's in. If Georgia beats them, I still think Alabama's in.
I do too.
But boy, would this be dicey, because then it's either Oklahoma, who, oh yeah, by the way, beat who? Alabama.
At Alabama.
And Oklahoma, you could argue, lost games when their quarterback was injured. Now, I will say they've looked terrible. So I think it would be Oklahoma. I think Notre Dame is in, and I think Oklahoma would be out. And I think it will. This is where 8, 9, 10 this week in these rankings. And look, we all know that this group can change on a dime. They've done it before. But we're really interested in where Duke, David, I won't take the bet. David said Duke's going to be 25th. I refuse to take the bet. Because right now, last week, there was only one American team ranked by the playoff committee. That was Tulane.
Right. There could be 3 this week. North Texas and Navy are very much in play.
And by the way, Navy being ranked benefits whom?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. So I agree with that. Will they put Duke in there? Will they put James Madison in there at the bottom? It matters. But how they rank 8, 9, 10 to me is very important, David. I think Oklahoma would be out over Notre Dame.
I don't. I think if you did the blind resume, it would be difficult to argue that Notre Dame's resume is better. Not that, by the way, I think if Notre Dame and Oklahoma played, Notre Dame would win for whatever that's worth. But that we believe the games on the field counts. Notre Dame's best win is USC. Yeah. Oklahoma went to Alabama and won. Okay. I think it's over. I do. But you're right, Mark. Okay. You're right that tomorrow night, it's important who's 8, who's 9, who's 10. In theory, those are the teams susceptible if we get the upset in the Big 12 title game. And I'm not doing this once again. I am a Notre Dame fan. I'm an Irish Catholic. I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Isn't this, though, let's all be objective, including Notre Dame fans. Isn't this what was said many years ago and 3 years ago when we were forming this playoff format? That one of the when in doubt, shouldn't a conference team get the bid over Notre Dame because they didn't join a conference? Shouldn't one of the penalties that Notre Dame, if they're ever going to suffer, be, hey, man, you wanted the spot, join a conference. You went 10-2 non-conference. Oklahoma went 10-2 in the SEC. Okay?
And they played a schedule in the SEC. This wasn't a Texas A&M SEC schedule.
No. I mean, isn't this where you look at Notre Dame and go, hey, you're clearly one of the 12 best teams. I don't know what to tell you, man. It shook out as bad as it could for you. And you and Miami should go play in a New Year's Day bowl. And again, a lot of people would watch, but you're out. I mean, that's what I'm wondering, Mark. By Alabama getting into the SEC title game, is Notre Dame now the bubble team?
It's either Notre Dame or Oklahoma to me, because I don't think they're going to push Alabama out even if they lose the SEC title. They proved that last year by keeping SMU in, and they want to keep these conference championship games alive. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real. The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Puck, and I'm not kidding here. Name the bet if Oklahoma and Notre Dame played that Oklahoma's favored.
Yeah, I'm in.
And I mean it, Puck. And you got to pay up. No, name the bet. Name the bet. There is nothing I wouldn't put on the line in that bet. Notre Dame would be at least a 5-point favorite against Oklahoma.
Yes.
It would probably be under a touchdown because of Oklahoma's defense, but 5.5 to 6.5, I feel pretty confident about. That Oklahoma offense is sputtering, man. That defense, Venables did a phenomenal job coaching this year. That defense carried them into the playoffs. Good for them. They deserve it. They absolutely
You can bet your house on Oklahoma. David and I are terrible at a lot of stuff. One thing we're pretty damn good at is telling people what the line is going to be. Oklahoma would be favored on that.
Puck, I just reached out to one of my Vegas guys. It's early. It's 6:17 in the morning, so I doubt we'll get an answer. But I'll get you an answer for tomorrow, hypothetically, who would be favored. Oklahoma.
Which, by the way, how? And I get every game's different, but based on history and everything we know when these two teams play, how can you make Georgia a favorite against Alabama?
I don't know.
I'm serious.
The only time they beat Alabama in that stadium, Alabama's top 2 receivers were out injured. Nick just ran out of bodies. By the way, Puck, I don't know what you heard. We both said Notre Dame would be favored over Oklahoma.
Yeah, favored. It's not close. It's not.
We're not talking about who should get in. I said Notre Dame would be favored. You said no, Oklahoma would. We're saying Notre Dame would be favored in that hypothetical matchup. Now, I don't think playoff spots should be determined by that at all. I'm totally against that. That's preseason polling. That's, 5-star recruiting rankings. No.
I said there's no way Oklahoma would be favored, Puck. Okay. Notre Dame would be favored in that game.
I'm just curious, by the way. There have been very few answers. BYU beats Texas Tech. You got to figure the last at large, unless the committee is really going to knock A&M for losing to Texas, you got to figure the last spot will then come down to Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
And I think Texas Tech is in.
2 of the 3 would be in. 1 is out. Tell me who's out.
David, I think I'm going to have to go with 2 turkeys next year just so I have more leftovers.
Okay.
We're already out of turkey. I did make turkey noodle soup, and it was really good. Very proud of my turkey noodle soup.
By the way, my wife crushed it, for the record. 18-pound bird, crushed it.
18-pound bird for the 3 of you?
Yep. We had 2 meals on Thanksgiving. We had a late morning meal on Friday. She froze all the dark meat, so when I come back, I'll have sandwiches all week. Oh, yeah. Nope. She cooked a big bird, and she crushed it.
Nice. Good for her. Now, does she stuff the bird, or is the stuffing separate?
No, this year there was no stuffing, actually. This year. Yep. There's reasoning for that.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, the Diamond District bonus hour. On this Overreaction Monday, the 1st of December, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. By the way, one of the many poll questions we didn't go with today. So how many of you still have leftovers? Or is this too late in the game? You know, this is the 4th day removed from Thanksgiving. Will you do leftovers 4 days later?
I would, if there were any turkey left. Turkey's gone. Gone. And I mean, we didn't send our, my wife's cousin and her husband home. They didn't even offer them leftovers. No. My mom got a little bit of turkey. Now, we had a full house. My son was there all weekend, and we went after turkey pretty hard.
I'll bet you did.
But I didn't even have a cold turkey sandwich. I went with the full-on warmed-up plate. I think there might be a little bit of stuffing left over. Not what was in the bird, but there's always a little extra that we do in a pan. I think some of that's left. I always make too many sweet potatoes. I can't help it. The recipe calls for X number of sweet potatoes, and it's far more than anybody ever eats. So there's some of that left. We've got some collard greens left, which I was pretty proud of my collards. Thank you, Big Jimmy. And that's about, a couple of rolls left because I made 24 rolls. There's not much there.
My wife cooked an 18-pound bird for the 3 of us. So needless to say,
that's a lot of bird.
We had 2 Thanksgivings on Thanksgiving. We had a lunch and a dinner Thanksgiving. It was glorious. We then had a early lunch Thanksgiving on Black Friday. We had like an 11 a.m. Thanksgiving. Also glorious. The rest was frozen. All the dark meat frozen for me for when I get home tomorrow night. I've got it for the rest of the week. Turkey sandwiches, turkey meals, gravy, you name it. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, I agree.
I made an 18-pound bird. There were 8 of us. I'm convinced if I'm doing Thanksgiving next year, I got to figure out if I can get 2 roasting pans in my oven. I'm making like 2 14-pound birds.
Okay.
One to serve everybody and one to just have for the rest of the week. Because there wasn't enough. And another question that I ended up seeing on X a lot, and I do know this because in another life, I was married to a Southerner and went to one Thanksgiving at kind of her, her mom's husband's family. It wasn't her dad, blah, blah, blah. But I went to one Southern Thanksgiving. And I was astonished when and this is 30 years ago, basically, 25 years ago. And I walked in, and there was no booze. There was no beer. There was no wine. There was no nothing. And that's a Southern thing. Like that really, if I can remember this next year, and we could have done it today, but it's too late. Do you serve alcohol at Thanksgiving? Because there are a lot of people, and particularly in the South, that is frowned upon. There's a podcast that I see clips from, a Barstool podcast. I like both of them. But the one guy made the comment, he said, I can't imagine what would be said and be said about me if I walked into the house with a 6-pack of beer. And, part of what we told my cousin, I had no problem cooking everything. What can we bring? Wine. And she didn't just bring wine. She brought a couple bottles of wine. She brought a bottle of Prosecco, and she bought all of the stuff for after dinner drinks.
Okay.
I mean, that's part of a northern Thanksgiving, a northeastern Thanksgiving, I believe, but it is not necessarily part of a southern Thanksgiving.
Okay, I would just need to clarify here. Is part of the meal the sit down part, or is it basically just the day? Like, there's no booze served during the sit down meal sometime between noon and 5, but then when you're sitting in the living room from 6 to 9, is there also no booze, or there's booze, but that doesn't count?
No, first off, if the Southern Thanksgiving, by all accounts of everybody I know that does it, if you're eating at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, that's a little late for Thanksgiving dinner. They eat early, and it's the whole damn day. It's not
so
just
the whole day.
It's the meal.
Right.
It's the post meal. No booze.
So fourth quarter, Cowboys Chiefs, I can't break open a beer or pour myself a glass of wine, even though the meal.
Not if there are guests still there. That's
wow.
If you're the host, there is typically no booze.
So the chef is not allowed to drink while cooking at a Southern Thanksgiving? Really?
I'm sure there are exceptions, and I'm getting people texting me that I'm Southern and we do. I'm just telling you, I was at whole family, and there wasn't any booze to be found anywhere. And I'm going, I got to deal with this for the whole afternoon. I got to deal with all of you and all this holding hands and praying stuff, and I can't get a drink.
Right.
Are you kidding me right now?
I'm supposed to be thankful, but I need a glass of wine to be thankful. What are we doing?
Exactly.
Oh, all right. That's interesting to know. All
So
righty then.
So yeah, I mean, everybody does it different. I get it.
Right.
But yes.
So you and I would have changed our tune. We're no on Lane coaching Ole Miss the rest of the way, right?
Yes.
I got to admit, there is a big part of me, if I was the AD, I might have put it, I don't know if I would have put it to a full team vote, but I might have pulled the 6 captains in. Okay? And because, I got to face the boosters and they're angry and all that. But if I looked at the boosters in the face and said, the team wants him to be the coach, that gives us the best chance to win. And listen, he's going to be trying to poach our kids and our recruits while he's here. Guess what? He's going to do that in Baton Rouge too. It doesn't really matter where he's making the cell phone calls from. What do you want me to do? Make him get a burner? I can take his phone away from him and he's got to go to Verizon and get another one. But seriously, it's not like he can't poach anybody he wants to poach from Baton Rouge. This is all about how many games do we want to win in the playoff and what gives us the best chance to win in the playoff. And if the kids told me we want him to be the coach, then I'm going to take all your grief. And I understand I might get fired. I get it. But there's a big part of me that wonders, would I have huddled with the key leaders of the team?
And we did get a few texts on that earlier, Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, my mistake there. But most of them didn't like that idea. Didn't like the idea. This is not a decision made by the players. This is a decision made by the people who are in charge. And that was their answer to this. I know what you're saying. And last week, I agreed with that sentiment. And the more I listened to people, the more I heard some reasoning that punched me right in the nose, that I went, you can't do it. You can't let him coach. He's gone.
Yeah, I listened to it all, and I can largely agree with it. There's a part of me, though, that I would like to talk to the leaders of the team And if the leaders of the team like, no, I never want to see him again. Oh, okay. Then I'll put his clothes out front too. That's fine. But, once again, Mark, I mean, the kids don't have any voice at all. I mean, if they're not going to show up and play, aren't we wasting our time? If you know what I mean?
No, you're right. And I mean, a lot of people threw the divorce analogy at me and said, this is like your ex living with you after your divorce while she's dating other men.
Yep. Could be. Yeah, that could be the perfect analogy.
Are you really doing that for the kids at this point?
Well,
I don't know. I'll just pray a little bit more and figure out where I'm going next.
Oh, very nice, Lane.
There's something magical about the holidays, and at the Diamond District, it's the season we look forward to all year long.
The lights, the laughter, the feeling of giving. That moment someone opens a gift that truly sparkles.
When you walk through our doors, our team is ready to welcome you with warmth and expert guidance. No pressure, just people who love helping you create unforgettable moments.
Stunning diamond jewelry to wrap up the wonder of the season.
The Diamond District, se habla español.
At the Diamond District.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
And I may have just had to preface that by saying, Baptist families in the South. I mean, maybe that's where you draw. Maybe that's a religious thing, Javier. I don't know. Baptist, Pentecostal, I don't know. Maybe the Methodists in the South drink. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm with you. Did you just pull out your saber, Javier, and just do like a champagne bottle and cut the top off? Or did you just go back home with your wine? Although I did see a trick. If you didn't have one, you can use a lighter and heat the cork area and it'll start to come up. I don't know if that works. I would, I'm never at a point where I don't have a corkscrew. Aurora, I have to be honest with you. We have not brought up Florida State in this entire show. Not even once. It doesn't make the survey today with everything going on. I like it.
Aurora, when I saw the drubbing and on top of the loss the week before, I think the president of the university and the AD have essentially handed in their resignations. The date is just not filled in on it yet.
Matt Baker wrote a column in The Athletic. I don't know if you saw it, David. Talking about Florida State. When he just said when Taggart was fired, the AD or I think the AD said something to the effect that this just isn't good enough. So 6 wins or whatever it was. That's not acceptable. And his whole premise was apparently that's acceptable now.
Right. And I understand there's more money at stake now. You made a bad deal. But I mean, listen, when Bud was on our show on Wednesday and we were talking about all that he does, and he said, we're kind of putting Nolecast on hold. And we went, what? And he said, well, I'm not going to fully commit to something when they're not fully committed to it.
His post on X was even more. I mean, he basically repeated what he said on the show and put it out there.
Yeah. In which he's like, listen, they're not serious about football, so why should we be serious about covering them?
Well, yeah, we'll finish our contractual obligations to our sponsors for this year, but then, yeah. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was happy about it only because I picked Florida. That's really the only reason I cared. The fact that all those games were on, and I went, oh, that's right. Florida State's on right now, too. What network is it on?
And, of course, the answer was Comedy Central. But, you know, I got our poll question for tomorrow, by the way.
I hope you remember it.
I will. I guarantee I'll remember it.
Who gets bumped if BYU makes it?
No.
Well, no, I mean, that's a good question. If BYU,
yeah, but you got to explain it to people. They won't agree with the premise of the question, but yeah, I do think it's a good question.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes. So we're done. The hour's over. It means the show's over. Miller and Moulton on this Overreaction Monday. I'm coming at you from clear and cool, 38 degrees, Foxborough, Massachusetts. Kickoff, that'll be about what it is tonight. It's supposed to be just clear, crisp, cool. I don't think rain's in the forecast or anything like that.
David, unless there's snow in the forecast, I'm not even interested in watching that game tonight.
I get it. I do. No, at kickoff tonight, it's supposed to be 29 degrees.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Dress warmly, I guess, is all I can tell you.
Yep, darn right.
Because, I mean, I sat down to watch the NFL yesterday, and there were games on that mattered.
Right.
And it took everything in fact, for most of the 1 o'clock games, because I got in a lot of trouble. Saturday, the wife's putting the tree up. Hey, college football's on. And she expected help out of my son and I. And she didn't get it. And she was not happy that she had to do most of the work herself. And she let me know last night. And I didn't really explain why. Because I, at least at the end, well, you got everything done outside. Because yesterday, my son, who is not a big fan of Christmas, that's my fault. He and his mother and I were divorced. She moved away. He did a lot of flying in and around Christmas. He's not a monster fan of the holiday because of how he grew up. And that's on me. But I didn't con him. I guilted him into helping put the lights up outside. Very simply, I looked at my daughter and said, tell your brother to come help. Because if I tell him, he's going to look me dead in the eye and say, go blank yourself. And he has every right to. And I've got nothing coming back to him. But when his 11-year-old sister walks up and says, come on outside and help put the lights up.
Right.
He can't tell her no.
No, he can't. No. Good job, Mark.
It was.
Good job figuring it out. It's the mathematical equations as you get older. You may have needed math to get through grade school and middle school and what have you. It's a totally different mathematical equation when you get older. How do I get my 25-year-old son to help with the Christmas decorations? Okay. Do I, have stepmom ask, or do I have sister ask? We'll go with sister.
And as he told me too, he goes, "You're really pissing me off because my OCD's taking over and I got to make sure this looks right." And I'm like, "Got you now. Got you now."
Nice. Yeah. When he's standing out on the street looking at it going, "That's crooked," that's when you know you've really won.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
It went to the House today in 1824. The House of Representatives began to decide the outcome of the election deadlock between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson.
So it wasn't Bush Gore?
No.
No? Okay.
Today in 1913, Ford Motor Company institutes the world's first moving assembly line for the Model T. In 24, the Bruins beat fellow expansion team, the Montreal Maroons, at the Boston Arena, the first NHL game played in the United States. Today in 1928, John Hadler, the National League president, proposes a baseball rule change, calling for a 10th man or a designated hitter to bat in place of the pitcher. The irony is the NL voted in favor of the proposal, but the American League turned it down.
What year was this?
1928. There was a penalty in the NHL that was 20 minutes long. They dropped the 20-minute slashing about the head penalty today in 1930. Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt agreed that the invasion of Normandy should take place in May of 44 today in 43 at the Tehran conference.
Of course, it ended up happening in June, but right.
Largely because of weather.
Yes, absolutely because of weather.
Hef published the first edition of Playboy today in 53. Marilyn Monroe, the first centerfold. Rosa Parks was arrested today for refusing to move to the back of the bus and give her seat to a white passenger in Montgomery in 1955. The gold medal game was played today in 1956 in basketball in the Melbourne Games. Bill Russell and Casey Jones would be a part of the fourth consecutive gold medal winning team. Today in 57, Buddy Holly and the Crickets make their debut on the Ed Sullivan Show. Sam Cooke also performed. The phrase teen idol first went to print today in 1958 when Life magazine used it to describe their cover subject, Ricky Nelson. John and Yoko released Happy Christmas. The War is Over today in 71. Nicholas would win the Walt Disney World Open by one stroke today in 73 and become the first player to reach $2 million in career earnings. You know, basically what they get for a signature event now. Today in 76, the Sex Pistols appeared on a London TV show as a last-minute substitute for Queen. They dropped F-bombs nonstop, shocking viewers. They were called punks. Today in 78, President Carter doubled the national park system. 82, Tootsie premiered. 84, Beverly Hills Cop premiered. 89, Christmas Vacation premiered. One of my favorite rock and roll stories, and it doesn't have anything to do with drinking. It has to do with hunting. Jerry Cantrell thought there were 31 days in November. He was on a hunting trip. They missed their show opening for Van Halen in Memphis today in 1991. Gretzky hit the 3,000-point plateau today in 1996. Lachelle Sprewell attacked PJ Colorlissimo today in 97. One of my favorite stories of all time. Today in 2006, GQ magazine names Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson newlyweds of the year. But by the time the issue hits the newsstands, the couple is already divorced.
What?
Just a reminder, it was the SEC championship today in 2012 when Alabama did what they do every time they play Georgia. They beat them. And also today in 2012, Florida State would win the ACC. Remember the good old days? Madame Trousseau, Walter Alston, Lou Rawls, Richard Pryor, and Pablo Escobar would have all celebrated birthdays today. Lee Trevino is 86. Doors drummer John Densmore is 81. Bette Midler is 80. 77 NL MVP George Foster is 77. Senator Rick Scott is 73. Carol Alt is 65. Larry Walker, 59. Sarah Silverman, 55. Deshaun Jackson is 39. Zoe Kravitz is 37. And Javi Baez is 33. What did I miss, David?
I'm always fascinated when you do, like career money list of some of the legends. Would you care to guess where Jack Nicklaus ranks on the all-time PGA Tour career money list?
Oh, gosh. I would imagine it's not even in the top 50, David.
Mark,
Is it in the top 100?
No.
Is it in the top 500?
Yes.
Okay.
Jack Nicklaus is 341st on the career PGA Tour money list. He made a little over $5.7 million in his career. To give you an idea, your buddy, George McNeil.
Yeah, made like 12.
Is like 163rd on the all-time money list. And Jack's 341.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Kentucky for the good, where ignoring your son is actually a good thing. A hunter was passing the time in his deer stand playing online lottery games. He said rejecting a call from his son led to winning a $1.1 million jackpot. While he was waiting for the deer to show up, he passed the time with the Wolf Ridge Jackpots online game. Kept getting interrupted by calls from family members. He said it was making me mad because it was freezing up my phone from playing. He declined a call from his son. The next thing, he hit. He won $1.1 million on a $30 wager. So many places to go here. All right. For the bad, we go to North Carolina, where a motorist in western North Carolina escaped injury when she was driving near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and the carcass of a cat crashed into the passenger side of her front windshield. Apparently, the bald eagle was eating the cat, slipped from the talons of the eagle, and crashed into the woman's window. Fortunately, she was not injured. And finally, the ugly. We go to Fort Myers, where a robbery at the Dollar Tree on Palm Beach Boulevard had shoppers in disbelief. A man caught on security camera snatched a wallet as a man was paying for his things. Not like he left the wallet on the counter and someone else picked it up. I mean, the man had the wallet in his hands and a guy just snatched it. But because of the cameras, they were able to arrest Paul Tamborio on the charges. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 1st. And it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers, great pay, great benefits, other jobs available as well. For all this information, where should they go, David?
CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. 9 games in the NBA tonight. Peacock at 7:30 and 10 o'clock Eastern if you're interested. Orlando hosting Chicago on Peacock at 7:30. We'll say if you're into the association, Phoenix and the Lakers at 10. Lakers are 15-4. They won 7 in a row. They're quiet. They may be second best team in the West. Maybe Houston, Denver, a few others hands raised, but just, they're not bad. We got a handful of games in the NHL. By the way, something that wasn't going to make the survey today because, way too much to talk about. Mark, do you know who's number 1 in the Eastern Conference in the NHL?
Boy, is it New Jersey?
No. They're
Not
number
Carolina.
3. No, Carolina's second.
It's the Tampa Bay Lightning with the role they've been on.
7 in a row. Lightning win a tiebreaker right now with Carolina to be the top seed in the East.
They just toyed with the Red Wings over the weekend.
Yeah,
toyed with them.
Beat the Rangers 4-1 too. Yep. Yeah, they got it going on. We got 5 games tonight. None of the locals in action. Nothing nationally televised either, so whatever. Penguins and Flyers, there's always a brawl that could break out in that one. They don't like each other.
And after the 8 week of college hoop, there's nothing tonight. Nothing.
No. Okay. Monday Night Football. Listen, Carolina beat the Rams. Saints nearly beat the Dolphins. Okay, Washington nearly beat Denver. Do you think the Giants cover the 7 against the Patriots?
Well, I'm predicting that the Giants will be leading 23-13 entering the fourth quarter. The Patriots will score 3 times, probably all touchdowns, and end up winning the game by more than 10.
And covering. That would be very Giants-esque.
It would.
Today.
And the funny thing is, I don't know if there's a Giant fan that would be at all upset about it. At this point, Giant fans are going, keep losing. I want the draft pick, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I think today the Giants draft 3rd, but if they lose, they move a half a game ahead of New Orleans. I think they'd be drafted number 2. So
that is correct.
Giants are 2-10. I think they've lost 6 in a row. Patriots are 10-2. They've won 9 in a row. That's right. Monday Night Football tonight on the Disney family of networks. 2-10 against 10-2. Couldn't switch out of this game, huh?
Nope. Enjoy Foxborough, David, and at least the walk to and from the game isn't very long.
Correct. If you're staying in Patriots Way and Patriots Place, it's very convenient. I am excited to see Drake May in person and the Patriots. I mean, hell, they could be the 1 seed in the AFC. Might as well check them out. Have yourself a great rest of your day and start of the week, and thanks for listening to Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verreau versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local glass doctor for details.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com, CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
When you're craving the real taste of Chicago, there's only one name to know. Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
This is Miller and Moulton.